and Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
My name is Ichabod Crane.
Name's MacGyver. Colonel Jack O'Neill, SG-1.
I am Batman!
Hello, I'm the Doctor.
So there's this man, he has a time machine. Up and down history he goes, zip, 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 getting into scrapes.
For years, and maybe more than that, right, Mac? But how long has it been? Has it been 6, 7 years ago?
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Hey, now wait a minute. Now wait just a minute.
Human beings were not meant to sit in little cubicles staring at computer screens all day.
I've got something for you.
Oh, merci, Sonor. Just one more thing, sir.
Oh, boy.
Just like that. Bing, bang, boom.
At this point, I'd settle for the boom.
They'd love it here, don't you think?
This is what I'm saying.
And by the way, where is your podcast? Tell everybody that's here.
Welcome to the Never Gets Old podcast. Podcast of all we love in TV, movies, music, and comics. With your hosts, Mac Jackson and Nathan Shell. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Facebook, and YouTube. Donations at paypal.com, at macwjackson@comcast.net.
Listen to my chapin songs, DJ saying that they're too long. His guitar may be silenced, but his soul goes on and on. Alone again, alone again. His stories were like us, a beginning and an end, alone again. Now I listen in my room.
Hello, everybody. I had to do that for you, Scott.
Right up.
I'm at work today. I'm like, hello, everybody. Got my Grover going. Hi, everybody. It's Mac Jackson. Thanks for joining us. I have our buddy Scott Tipton back, of course, because we're just basically going to shoot the bull like we always do. But if we could do it live and let you guys engage, that's always a fun thing. Otherwise, it's just us, and I'd post it later anyway. So, how are you, buddy?
Doing well.
Yeah. It's so funny. As always, I think of, you know what? I got to remember, mark this down to talk to Scott about this, because I bet he has ideas, and thoughts on this. And with all the fortunate news that we've been getting, I titled this episode just because I never know where we're going to go with it. But I figure we're probably going to talk about Marvel at some point and comic books.
Odds are good.
Oh, yeah. So I spun the wheel, and it seemed like the right title to say, are they back on track?
I mean, I'm not sure they were ever as off track as the bloggerverse.
Agreed.
Clickbaiters will like us to believe. I mean, there were certainly a couple misses among the many swings, but how many winning swings do you get before you occasionally whiff one? I mean,
right. Well,
Eternals was a 3 hours and 20-minute long whiff, but still.
Right. And Secret Invasion. But other than that, I loved everything else.
Yeah.
And I thought of that too. I'm like, well, all right, Scott and I don't have a problem with it, but as far as, like you said, the social network likes to pick on crap and just like, no matter how great it is, it's not good enough. So I watch some random, when I have the tolerance for it, because again, everybody loves to poo-poo on great stuff. And I watch some of the, what do you call it? This isn't it, but like the quick, hey, today I have new, rumor information on Marvel's this or DC's that, right? And if you get someone who's not obnoxious or annoying, all right, I'll check it out and see if, are they guessing, or should I not have, I don't want to know too much. Like,
or is it a guy in a Doctor Doom mask who seems kind of like an incel? Maybe I'm not getting with that guy.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've heard some rumors of stuff, and one of the rumors I heard was, let me think of who it was. It was Den of Geeks or something like that. And he comes on almost every day and tells you what the latest is. It's really quick, and when he edits his lines together, there's no breathing room.
Yeah.
So you can tell he like took out the breaths or whatever. So it's just for 10 minutes. And one of the things that he brought up was he suspects that this dip that everybody's talking about was basically Feige treading in the water while he dealt with the Sony thing with Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Because No Way Home was such a hit that Sony went, well, we want him back. And they had already, I guess, set up where the new trinity of Marvel heroes was going to be Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Captain Marvel.
Right.
Well,
that not so much, unfortunately.
Black Panther unfortunately went away. I still think they should recast him, as much as I had no problem with the movie.
Yeah.
I just,
like we said, I mean, it was a great movie, but it's one I never need to watch again because it was just a funeral.
And it was so sad. Yeah, the whole time I'm like, oh God.
And I know we're already veering off. I still think it was a massive mistake to make Namor murder T'Challa's mom.
Oh yeah, it was just death.
Yeah.
Right? Because she wasn't the only one.
Yeah, I mean, granted, in the comics in the 40s, Namor was chucking civilians off the top of the Statue of Liberty, but it was the 40s. Life was cheaper then.
And it was war,
Yeah, exactly. He goes, oh, I hate white people. I hate man, but I really hate Nazis.
Those are the worst kind of man. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, I think the dip does. The one thing I think that a lot of the blogosphere gets right is that the push from Disney, and this is not Feige's fault. He's taking his marching orders. The push to get so much content on Disney Plus, kind of, and I think it was a double whammy of that with now reacting to the fact that we have a world where we don't have T'Challa, who is going to be expected to be so big. Captain Marvel is a bit of a question mark for fair reasons or not, and all of a sudden Sony's scrabbling to get Spider-Man back. So I think that really did kind of like dilute the kind of like
momentum
party they've had for so long.
Yeah. Well, and that was the theory, was while he was dealing with that, he would still make content, but you couldn't really use those three, and and now I guess it's fixed. So now we can get back on track, quote unquote. Okay. Fine. My bigger problem is with the guy, what's his face? The president of Disney, trying to crap on all our hopes and dreams all the time. You like Marvel? You like Star Wars? Yeah, we're going to limit that now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this Iger came back to the smoldering rubble that once was Disney after the last CEO came back, and he does not seem like the same executive he was for all those years before. The old Bob Iger he would never make dumb comments in the press. He was always very creative, friendly. He had a big picture. This guy looks like a guy like who came back for a year or two to put the fire out from the other guy. And I don't have that same kind of confidence in him as an executive, which is unfortunate because before he was the gold standard.
Right.
He was the guy that he would find the best properties in the world, let the people that are already good at it run with it. Pixar, you guys do it. Marvel, you go do it. Lucasfilm, well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's so funny too because you're right. I'm watching it going, this guy. I mean, I watched it live when he did that interview where he's like, "Oh no, the people on strike, they're wrong." Like,
What are you doing, dude?
Dude, shut up! You're on the wrong side of that.
Doing it literally from the Billionaire Boys Club. You might as well have had a monocle and a big bag of money like Mr. Moneybag.
Twirly mustache.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah, and it just went downhill from there. Because I was walking through at work the cafeteria and they had it on the screen, so I stopped. I'm like, oh, all right, let's see that. And I watched him say it, and I went, oh no,
no.
2 hours later, when I came through, it was the big news of the day. Can you believe what this idiot just said? Kind of thing.
Yeah. So
and all the things that you love, we're gonna take away. We're gonna lessen our try with Marvel and Star Wars. Oh yeah, because that's what people are happy with. By all means, take that away.
And to suggest that Marvel's dip in the box office, it doesn't take into account the fact that there is the strike. Before that, there was the way things were mishandled with COVID, where stuff didn't go to theaters and instead got just kind of like ignored on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, you react to the plate you have. Don't go back and make bad mistakes going forward. I mean, it's
so funny too, because all these movies, I don't know if you've noticed, all the movies that the critics wanted to crap on and say, oh, it's terrible, Miss Marvel or the Marvels or Indiana Jones. Oh, well, once they hit streaming, the audience went, no, these are great. Actually, we're loving this. Let's see, what do we got? The Flash. Yeah, we all love the Flash. Okay, Blue Beetle. Yeah, that was great too. Like yeah. See, if people would just listen to their own, even if their friends over critics.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, especially online, the most obnoxious voices are the loudest, and people mistake volume in terms of audio as volume for numbers. The loudest voices aren't the most.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, somebody said that about just something in civil rights or whatever. The basically like good isn't determined by the number, the majority.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And because so much of the stuff is happening online, you can monetize your obnoxious opinion, even if it's not right. But no one wants to watch videos where they say somebody likes something. Negative reviews are always more interesting and more fun, and that's always been where where the eyeballs go. And so it's so easy to mistake that for what the actual thoughts are.
It's so funny that you say that, because I make a conscious effort to do the opposite of that. But you're right. Like, it is the easiest. Oh, somebody's angry. What are they angry about? Click, click, click. Where I have found myself watching videos of book reviews, like graphic novels and, the best of 2023 kind of stuff, because it's the new year and I want to hear their rundown, because that way I can go, oh, there's a book I haven't tried yet. And all right, let me get it right now while they're saying it, because if they're really passionate about it, that sells me on it. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh, okay, you guys really are talking this up. It must be good if I've heard it on a couple different shows. And so I'll just go on the phone while they're talking and go, all right, cosmicology, what's the name of that one? Okay. And as long as it's not stupid expensive, I've been loading up my basket with more independent, like one shot or limited series type stuff. But at the same time, next to that is a video of, I can't think of who they are, but from what I understand, they're kind of hated among the comic community because they're naysayers. They like to, they go on, their current thing is they don't like Mark Waid. Like, why? What did he do to you? I don't. And again, I don't know. I don't go looking to fight with comic book people, creators or fans or anybody. And yet those kind of people are looking to go,
all they're looking for is engagement.
Right. Oh, look at, Mark Waid hates me, or, Mark Miller or whoever. Like that's not positive. You're okay, great. He reacted to you, but he hates you now. That can't be good.
I have no time for that. I mean, I've been online doing comics, writing about comics for years and years, and I can count on one hand the times I actually wrote negative pieces, and even then they weren't mean spirited. And I'm not going after the creative. I don't see the point in writing a negative review.
Right.
You know, I'd rather talk to people about great stuff and point them in that direction. And you know, I've been on the other side of that for just as long. No one's trying to make a bad comic.
Right. Right.
No one's trying to make something that doesn't work for people. So I mean, and no one realizes how much work it is to put together a comic. How many people are involved? All those people are trying.
Right.
It might be your taste. It might actually be not good, but I'm not going to jump on that train and dance on the grave. That's the, you know, when it comes out and it's bad, usually they know.
Yeah, and they're going to know by the numbers
during that party.
Right, and just by the clear-headed people who may not like it, you can go, oh no, they have a point. Okay, all right, but they're not getting their giggles out of crapping on somebody.
Yeah, and they're also not looking for word political points they can like grab onto and then extrapolate to just to stoke anger and again get hits.
Well, the one video from, and I can't think of who it is, and I'm glad I can't because I don't want to publicize them, but it's one of those where every video is here's what I hate today kind of thing, and the one video was I'm done, I'm sick of it, I'm never, reading this. These are the things that really tick me off, and so I clicked on it because just out of morbid curiosity, I thought, all right, let me be fair and listen because maybe there's some thought. And it came down to, it didn't matter if they were even right in their views. It's the fact that you are making a hate video.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even necessarily disagree with whatever their views were, but the way that they handled it, you titled it, I'm sick of it, I'm not doing this anymore kind of thing. I'm like, man, I don't ever want that to be a title of my thing.
But,
you know what I mean?
My favorite recent one, and this is one of the few times I actually did comment on something like this, it was a reaction to the newest releases from Hasbro for the G.I. Joe, the new G.I. Joe line figures. And among the figures was the character Doc.
Okay, yeah, he looks great.
Yeah, but and somebody reacted to one of these knuckleheads. Oh, Hasbro giving into the woke agenda because Doc is A, African American, and B, a pacifist. And I'm like, dude, that character was first created in 1984. I'm pretty sure Doc is older than you are.
That's what I was gonna say. I was just about to say that. I'm like, you moron. You weren't even a glimmer in your father's eye, and you're gonna have a problem with the character.
Yeah,
idiot.
All right, fine, whatever. That's okay. I did that. Now I'm just gonna walk away. Just back out slowly.
Right? Oh
yeah.
God. That type of thing.
All right, now among the crazy rumors I have been hearing, I'm curious, and we might not find out until years down the road, how much of the new Captain America film was filmed, and how drastically is it being rewritten? Because I was under the impression that they'd done some filming, and they clearly had a script, but now I'm hearing that like filming is not going to commence on that for like another month or so, and that like large swaths of it are being dropped.
Well, that leads me into the Daredevil current thing, which again, thank God they updated that.
Yeah, but I mean, we had heard there was none of the original cast coming back for that, and now they're all back.
Right.
But it was filming had gone pretty far on that, so again, that's a pretty drastic rewrite.
Well, with Daredevil, apparently, they're trying to use as much of the footage already shot as they can. Which okay, but you knew what you knew with the Leif's here. Hi Leif. Let's see. Wait, I want to see what he said, and then I'll finish my thought. Okay, so this oh look at he's quoting seek not the favor of the multitude. It is seldom got to be got by honest and lawful means, but seek the testimony of few, and number not voices, but weigh them, which supposedly goes back to, something. If I try and pronounce that, I'm going to trip all over it. And then, better to impress. He's quoting stuff here. So it's right back to what we were saying.
Most of my online criticism is based on Immanuel Kant. So yeah, he's right with me.
Yes, you could see that. Okay, good. I didn't want to. I thought like Emmanuel, but I'm not sure if that's right. Is it okay? But with Daredevil,
don't you know your Monty Python? Emmanuel Kant was a real pissant who was very rarely stable.
See, that's one of the quotes I don't know. But with Daredevil, you knew what the original story was, right?
Well, I was assuming they're using Born Again, the Mazzucchelli.
No, they did Born Again in season 3. Basically, they did parts of it. They did the part where he wakes up in the nunnery and he's all bandaged. They use the overhead shot.
They do the whole. Because I did not watch season 3 of Daredevil. I never gotten back to it. Not because I didn't want to. It just slipped my mind. Did they do the whole storyline with the Kingpin finding out his name?
Yes.
Oh, well, then what were they going to do? Why are they calling this one Born Again then?
Because it was a different network, and people like us will go, whoa. Agreed. They're not doing. They dipped their toe into that during the 3rd season. Which, by the way, now you got to watch the 3rd season.
Oh yeah, it's on my list.
Quickly, because it's so good. I've watched the first 2 seasons at least twice, if not 3 times before. And now we watched, with Everly, who's 12 now, No Way Home, because now she's old enough to come to all the superhero movies with us. No Way Home, She-Hulk. And then I went, wait a minute. Like a couple weeks ago, I went, Everly, have you never seen Daredevil? I mean, was that your first exposure? She's like, yeah, I know who he is, but I never saw the original 3 seasons or Defender. I'm like, oh, all right, right now, let's, because I started them watching Lost, Chuck. We finished Firefly, so we've moved on to Lost and Chuck, and sprinkling of other stuff. But once she said that, I'm like, right now, stop what you're doing. We're going to start to watch Daredevil. So we just watched the Stick episode of season 1.
Okay.
And the whole time, Mikey and I are like, and Cindy are going, oh, this is just so freaking good. Wait till you see Everly. Oh, this is so good. We're in euphoria.
Yeah.
And as she's watching it, we're looking over at her like, come on.
Look, I'm hearing that with Cap, the whole Serpent Society stuff's being taken out.
Okay, see, and I didn't hear that, but I heard that they were going to be part of it. And
Seth Rollins is supposedly playing either the Cobra or Sidewinder, one of the main Serpent guys.
Huh. Okay. Well,
but not what I'm hearing. The last thing I read somewhere was that whole element's being taken out.
So
I'm not even sure what's up.
Again, it's all rumor, and I don't want to know too much, but a big thing that I hear is, and this makes complete sense. The Thunderbolts, how they're working on that? That might have to do, again, it's rumor, Kingpin. Kingpin is going to run for mayor in this upcoming season of Daredevil. Okay, so that's his thing. And then they're going to do Devil's Reign, basically, where he's going to outlaw superheroes and basically cause I don't know. The rumor is this might be the Hulk movie that they're working on, which I'm surprised they're doing. I'm glad, but I'm surprised they're doing World War Hulk.
Yeah, but
they're only using the title. They're not doing the story because we missed all that.
Yeah. I mean, I love the idea of the Mayor Kingpin stuff. I don't think you need to go back to the well with outlawing superheroes because that was all Civil War. It feels done already.
Right. But apparently what they're going to do is, again, rumor, he becomes mayor at the end of season 1 of Daredevil now, of this season that they're filming. He outlaws superheroes. Those who don't listen, he will create his own team a la Thunderbolts. And it spills into the movies because the next Spider-Man movie is supposed to be a street level movie with him and Daredevil.
Yeah, see that I don't know, that just smells like speculation to me. That one, I'm not sure how much I believe that one. Now I'm all on board for getting Daredevil and Kingpin in that next Spidey movie. I think that's a great idea.
Right. Well, apparently that's what everybody, including the studio, is saying. We want a street level one where they have to deal with. Apparently, it's going to be Daredevil, and maybe Ant-Man shows up to inform Spider-Man about the quantum. Basically,
once you get more details, that's when it all smells bogus to me.
Well, yeah. Again, it's I've heard different things where he's going to show up, and it kind of heads in the direction of Secret War, which is Kang or Kang's replacement, whatever they're gonna do there. But Spider-Man is rumored to be the chosen one. He's the one who's gonna beat Kang. I don't know.
People didn't like it when Ant-Man beat him, so why is this gonna be any better?
Right. Well, because it's Spider-Man, you know what I mean? Yeah. But then I guess Sony was like, no, you know what? We want Toby and Andrew in this next Spider-Man movie because it did so well the last time. And I guess Marvel's going, wait a minute, that's too much. You can't. Yeah. We've already done that.
Maybe do that in Secret Wars. Maybe do that to end it out. But every time you go back with that, it's going to be diminishing returns.
Exactly. And they I guess the plan was they were going to have Toby be the lead in one of the leads in Secret War. Because Secret War 1 and 2, one was supposed to be Kang Dynasty, and now they're not going to call it that.
Yeah, we shall see.
I know. Some of the theories I'm like, yeah, I like that. Others I'm like, oh, please God, no. Don't shove Toby and Andrew in the next Spider-Man movie if you were going to do a street level thing.
And I mean, anytime Sony's involved, I'm like, oh, you from the makers of Madam Web? Thank you. Thank you. No, what else have you got?
Well, I haven't seen that one yet, so God knows, but I don't need all these villain movies.
Yeah.
The Venom movies were not right, and the Venom movies were less than spectacular.
Yeah, adequate. I would say adequate.
Right. Like they had Carnage in the second one with Woody Harrelson. I'm like, oh, that's great casting. Yeah, this is fun. And they went through it too quick. Like, take your time. Let's have things make sense and not just go for the action. We're done. Here's the credits.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's shocking to me that there's only going to be one Marvel movie this year.
Is there?
Yeah, it's just Deadpool 3. That's it for the year. That's a lot.
Well, okay. So, what are the shows that are coming up?
We just had Echo. I mean, reportedly, they're still filming Wonder Man, which I'm also very on the fence about.
I didn't even hear about that until this week.
Yeah.
They're doing a Wonder Man show.
Yeah, but they got the guy playing Black Manta playing him.
The guy who was Black Man and Aquaman?
Yeah. He's Simon Williams, apparently.
Huh.
I don't know. I guess, but I don't know. I'm not a guy who's worried about it. I'll watch these things as they come out, but
right.
I feel like dropping everything and pulling back so much is an overreaction to only have one this year as far as feature films go.
Agreed. Yeah. Again, like we said last time, the big thing is that the studios don't understand that movies are not important anymore. Yeah. We are getting the same quality plus more on TV. So if you're going to do a movie, set your number bar low because you're going to make it back on streaming. That's where the money is.
And reportedly, they're still playing on an event on a second Eternals film, which I find shocking.
Oh God, why? Why? I mean, if they could wrap up any threads in some Marvel series, like just dedicate a couple episodes to wrapping that up. I don't care if they do it in Wonder Man or whatever. Let it die. Like nobody ever liked the Eternals. I understand you thought you were going to do a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing where nobody cared about this team until these movies, but it's so far away from a Marvel superhero.
Yeah.
Right? Like even the comic book form, what never felt like a Marvel thing. It felt like New Gods.
Yeah. And I think, as an ensemble piece, you need to have somebody to be that center of it, which you have with Guardians with Star-Lord. And there was no character like that in Eternals that like audiences could really connect to. There was no kind of hub to the series.
Right. And then you find out that they're all androids.
Yeah. I mean, I went in expecting it to be either Salma Hayek's character or Angelina Jolie's character. One is killed off immediately, and the other one is an amnesiac for most of the film.
Right.
So you just don't have that connection there.
I just remember the whole family watching it going, it kind of feels like work.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
This is our first time going through, so I'm full of the adrenaline of possibilities. But okay, well, this is a long movie, huh? Okay, I'm never gonna rewatch this. Okay, yeah. And that's a shame because in my mind, I'm gonna rewatch every movie, either on my own or if it's on TV and I happen to be flipping through. I always stop on a superhero movie. You're the same way, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And Eternals, I just like, I don't care. And please know that you messed up and don't try and fix it with another movie.
Yeah.
Because look at it this way. Even if it's an incredible movie, right? The world's going to go, oh, it's better than the first one. But they're never going to celebrate it the way that they want it to be celebrated. It's never going to be a new Guardians kind of thing. It's going to be, all right, are we done now? Is all the threads wrapped up? Okay, thanks. We can.
Yeah, no one is excited for those characters to come back. Whereas with the Guardians, you want to see them guest star in the movies. You want to see them meet the Avengers.
And they had such great personalities.
Yeah. Eternals just had no joy.
Yeah. And like I said, the moment that you found out that they were robots, I went, oh, kill them. Kill them all. I don't care. It's that whole, well, what about Data? Or what about C-3PO? They're robots. I understand you have an affection for them. You think they're keen. But if it came down to it, pew, pew, if you had to. You know what I
mean? There's that line about Data in one of the best episodes of Star Trek. A single Data is a wonder and a marvel. A bunch of Datas is just another race. So if a single robot trying to be human, that's a story.
Yeah.
Revealing that they're all robots was just kind of a weird, well, it doesn't really change anything.
Right. And I don't care what happens to you because you're not a real person.
The other rumor I'm hearing is that there will be a Deadpool 3 trailer appearing in the Super Bowl.
That'd be great. I hope so.
And it also might leak the casting for FF.
Okay, because Mikey is all, up on that stuff, and he's saying it's Pasquale.
Everyone's saying Pedro Pascal right now for Reed, which is the worst idea. I would rather they keep Krasinski. I think he was great.
Me too.
But I could also, Pascal's old enough that he feels like Reed Richards to me. Yeah, I know he can play somebody who's super smart, but he's good looking, but not like in a male model way, which is good for Reed. So yeah, I'd be totally happy with Pascal.
Me too. I wouldn't be. He's a good actor. You like him and everything you see. So all right, for that, all of what you said, I'd rather have Krasinski, of course, just because I like him too. But we've already seen him in the role. Let him be the guy, and. All right, but if they get the other guy, that's fine too. Just let's get going. Let's get going on that, and let's get going on some freaking mutants for the love of God.
Yeah.
What are they waiting? During this time of, you said one movie a year. Well, all right, how about we crank out an X-Men show? Let's do that. I don't even care. You don't have to show all the X-Men. Get 2 or 3 of them and let's build that world. That's the other half of Marvel that nobody's touching at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're waiting for.
Yeah. And it's between that and it's going to be a long run now before we get into a new DC product.
Apparently, Mikey had just texted me right as we were connecting. There's casting news for, I'm guessing, Superman.
Well, I know that they just cast Supergirl last week.
Right, which either one they picked, I was fine with.
I'm not familiar with the actress, but she looked right for me, so that's cool.
That's what I'm saying.
All the casting so far at Superman I've seen has been dead on. So,
dead on.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think the first thing to hit is Creature Commandos, and that's not until the fall, right?
And that's an animated.
That's animated, yeah.
So it's going to be hard to take that seriously. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean thinking the way the world does. You and I are thrilled because we're like, this matters. This is connected. But the layman will go, animated, that must be for kids. I'm not going to, and they're going to miss out. You know what I mean?
I think the gun involvement is going to help, certainly.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I also think that's not the worst thing in the world, is that if the first thing that comes from the new gun regime is a little under the radar.
Sure. Let it build by, word of mouth, maybe.
Yeah, let it get out there and surprise people.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so, because I really want the world to stop crapping on DC movies.
Yeah.
I didn't see the new Aquaman yet.
I didn't either. And by the way, you didn't see it. I didn't see it. What does that tell you?
It tells me a couple things. It tells me that DC didn't try. They just had to finish it and put it out. They never marketed it. We're like, holy crap. What comes out tomorrow? Aquaman? The new one? Oh, wait a minute. It's Christmas. I don't have time to go see this. I want to see it in the theater. I don't have time. It's the holidays.
Also, my other thing was the trailer just didn't show me anything new.
Right. Oh, he's underwater. Look, he's angry.
I love Black Manta. I mean, obviously Black Manta is your only A-list villain, but there's some other stuff you could use. Show me something new in there that always, I gotta check that out. And it just felt like every sequel is going to be something of a retread, but it really just felt like deleted scenes, kind of.
And you know what they could have done, which would have been great. They could have used the monsters from the trench from Jeff Johns' run.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a time whenever that whole trench business from the first film was going to get its own movie,
right?
And that fell by the wayside, along with most DC projects lately.
Yeah. And it's funny because everybody who did see it loved it. Everybody who actually went and saw Aquaman was like, no, it's great. Even the critics were like, no, this is great. What's his face? His stepbrother there kind of steals the show. He gets a lot more screen time. Ocean Master.
Yeah. No, the first one, I love the first one.
Me too. There's very little of the DC stuff that I didn't like. Because again, I'm looking to enjoy all this. I'm looking to love all of this. I'm looking to talk about it with you and go, yay! So for it to not be good would be crushing.
Would be Wonder Woman 84.
Mikey just mentioned that. Yeah. And again, I enjoyed it, but I can't argue that mistakes were made. Like there was moral issues of her, being okay with him, his spirit in somebody else's body.
Yeah.
Kind of, there was
mishandling Maxwell Lord. I didn't like much.
Right. Like, no, you could have done so much more with that. And I don't understand why she showed up in armor to fly in with their
there's a lot of weird stuff in that film.
Right. But again, I was glad that it was made, except wow, we kind of expected better from the director even.
Yeah, no, I think that everyone always talks about how the DC regime was too controlling. I think this kind of shows that that's not always a bad thing. So there needs to be somebody, at least. It shows the lack of a Kevin Feige. It's the lack of somebody with a focus at the top.
So I pray to God Gunn is the guy. I pray that I'm looking for a day when you and I can laugh and say, remember way back when DC was known as a not great movie experience?
Yeah.
I would love that because it breaks my heart.
The way he used Starro in his Suicide Squad is what convinced me that he's the guy. Because Starro was such a Silver Age, goofy DC thing, and he used it, kept it true to what always made it good and scary, but also made it feel real and kind of poignant in places.
Yep.
And he didn't make fun of it. It didn't belittle it, and that kind of goes for the way he used all those characters.
I hated that a lot of that movie because it was so juvenile. We talked about this. That whole F and this and F and that and squish random deaths, through the whole thing. Yeah. You can get away with a goofy death once or twice, but when you go, I'm a hero, splat. All right, it happened too much. It was just
that was Suicide Squad, though. I remember reading that comic, and every week it was they were dropping people.
And they didn't do it every 5 minutes like they did in that movie. You're going, okay. Like it was the one trick pony done too much. Thin it out a little. Let's have a death kind of mean something. You know what I mean? But I didn't mind as much as the juvenile cursing through the whole freaking thing. Like
what's interesting to me is I've been reading more and more of David Ayer's tweets about his cut of the first Suicide Squad, and I don't know if that's ever going to see the light of day. I'm really curious how different his was.
Right, me too.
Because apparently, like all that movie, you could tell it came out very much in the shadow of Guardians, and so they kind of like brought in all that pop music, and Ayer's like, none of that was in my plan. Right. His movie was entirely scored orchestrally
and dark.
Yeah, and so I'm really curious if we're going to see that because I just saw his new movie, The Beekeeper.
Good.
Beekeeper is great. Okay. So much fun. It's one of the best just straight up action movies I've seen in a long time.
Nice.
I want to Beekeeper. Nobody team up now.
Yeah, I think he's
really good.
I'll let you know when I see it. But yeah, I mean, think about what about this? We're in the world where they film stuff and never bother to show it, like Batman being in the last Aquaman movie.
Several Batman. Not just one Batman, my friend. Both. Keaton was shot and Affleck was shot.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't use either one.
See, that's so stupid to me. A movie is better with Batman. That's just a universal truth. A comic book is better typically with Batman. I mean, that's, it sells. Why would you take that out? Even if it's a post-credit scene, just do it.
I think I read that either Gal Gadot or Cavill was shot as well, and they didn't use either of those.
Best part, as much as I love The Flash, the best part was that we finally got the Justice League in the first 10 minutes of The Flash that we should have had.
And I thought that was Affleck's best turn as Batman too.
Me too. I'm like, this is great because it's showing him being Batman and not being a goofy guy. And they took the gray out of his hair. Yeah. They let him be appropriate age. You're like, yeah, thank you. Let's onward and upward. Yeah. And then they take him out of Aquaman. What the? I don't understand the people in charge of a lot of these projects. Like, there's some things that are universal truths, whether you like them or not, and you keep the candy in there for the kids to reach.
Well, in this specific case with DC, the problem I think is just exactly that. It was that revolving door of bosses that affected all this. And also, I do think that and it's going to come out more and more in time, that the way Dwayne Johnson tried to kind of like wrangle control.
What about that?
And I think that really affected all these films.
Yeah.
There are people who wanted to have everybody and everything, and they wanted to have, and they want the fact that we never had a Shazam Black Adam meetup is insane.
Insane. If it didn't happen in the first movie, it should have been the second movie.
Yeah, but there was just all of a sudden it became this power struggle for control of that franchise. And I think right now we would be looking at an entirely different slate of movies, both that have come out and are about to come out, if Black Adam had opened big.
Well,
opened big, then Johnson would have actually just said he would have been the new Feige. He would have taken over.
They should not have let him have a word, have a say. Like again, like you said, they didn't have a Feige, so they're just like, I don't know, you are now in control. No, okay, now you. And he sunk it because of his ego.
Yeah,
you weren't gonna eat. He took out Superman from that movie. Like even that little bit that we saw of Superman showing up in the end.
No, yeah, that was actually that was a Dwayne Johnson insistence.
But they were supposed to be more, from what I understand.
I don't know. I had heard that was so because his wife is Cavill's agent, and they were going to use Cavill at all in that movie. Cavill, because the thinking was after the Justice League was kind of like circling the drain. They were going to go with a whole new direction, and they didn't want Cavill at all anymore. And he insisted they get Cavill back in there, thinking that by doing that post-credit scene, it would secure Cavill for another film. And then the whole thing didn't go.
I feel so bad for him. He's such a nice guy.
And he's so good. And he would have made a great Superman had he had good scripts.
Right. But at the same time, I agree with the let's start from scratch James Gunn thing.
Yeah, but also let's start from scratch, but let's not spend too much time on world building and insisting that everything locked together. Let's just put the stories we're telling, tell the stories, use the same actors for the sake of consistency, but not come into this thinking the whole thing has to interlock exactly and make a gigantic 8-film piece.
Right. Let it happen organically. Because if you get a bunch of good movies, the audience is going to go, okay, now you do a Justice League.
I mean, Marvel already always had that plan, but it was more of a guideline than like a map. You know, when they started doing those first three, they didn't know if Avengers would ever happen and what was going to happen past that. They knew we want to go on to something big with Thanos, but it wasn't as if they had Endgame in line whenever they started making Iron Man.
Right.
You got to give yourself room to work.
What about even the animated series? That excellent Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Oh, the way that got videoed. I know. That series is fantastic.
Isn't it? And again, showing the kids in order. We just started the second season. But again, you got to pick your moments because you're eating dinner. What are we watching, guys? And you got to pick, all right, we're watching Lost, we're watching Avengers, we're watching Daredevil right now. But when we only have a half hour or so, I'll go, okay, pop one of those in. But they did the whole thing where you got an Iron Man story, a Cap story, and then they brought them together. And I'm like, you guys are gutsy, and thank God, because that worked beautifully.
Yeah, and they slowly brought in all the Avengers, and in a way that felt organic. And give when each Avenger comes in, they get that moment to shine, and you see how they work with the team. And if you notice in the opening credits, they slowly add them all to the opening credits.
Do they?
And at the beginning, whenever you see the title flash, it's just the original 5. And then when Hawkeye joins, all of a sudden he's there. And then when Ms. Marvel joins, all of a sudden she's there.
Okay, I'll look for that.
They do it throughout. It's great.
Because I've only seen or re-seen, because I saw them originally, but watching them in order with the kids now, we saw Carol Danvers, but she wasn't Miss Marvel yet.
Yeah.
So we just got to the beginning of the second season.
So just past the Asgardian stuff.
Right. Where Doom shows up in the first episode.
Oh, that's great too.
Right. And you're like, holy crap, we're getting Doom. All right. And they have, oh, by the way, here's the Fantastic Four. They don't spend time to go, let's introduce you to each one. They're like, no.
Explain them. Exactly.
Like, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Explain them through character, through dialogue, through circumstance. Yeah, we don't need exposition.
Yeah.
If they're playing poker, obviously they're friends. Okay, we get that now.
And so I'm kind of, I don't want to add any more to the pot, but I want to get through Avengers so then I could show them Spectacular Spider-Man.
Spectacular Spider-Man's pretty great.
It's the best. It's excellent. But you know what? And we've talked about this, I'm sure, but you know what still holds up? Because I had to buy Disney Plus because the Fire Stick was not giving us the new Doctor Who's. So I was like 2 weeks in without the new Doctor Who, and I'm like, it's not showing up. It's not showing up. Cindy goes, for $8 a month, I think we can own Disney Plus. I'm like, fine. So we caught up on our Doctor Who's. But one of the first things I did to check and see how I can use Disney Plus, I'm like, oh, it's only the first season, but it's Spidey and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah.
That holds up. That gives me such the chills because of how great they use Spider-Man being Spider-Man.
It's what I did a deep dive on that during the pandemic.
Yes, you did.
Every Saturday morning, I was just watching a curated Saturday morning from my childhood, and so I did a whole run through that through the. I think it's actually only like a season and a half of episodes. There's not that many.
There's not, but yeah, like why don't you post the rest?
But the other thing is how many cameos they packed into that, which nobody did back then, and how much they used the X-Men.
Yeah, they have Juggernaut without pants.
Yes,
but he's still there.
Well, it's a springtime, you know.
Springtime Juggernaut.
But it's kind of the X-Men team that I wish we would have had longer of. We never did. That where it's the new X-Men, but Warren Worthington is still there, which I always loved when Angel was on the team, and sometimes Kitty Pryde is there, and it's that show. Sure, you got the silly ones like Video Man, or the Swarm. Although even the Swarm was a comic book villain. I think he was in Champions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that series.
Yeah, I have the what the heck? In December, they took away the DC video game on my phone. They just were like, yeah, we're packing it in. We're not doing this anymore. And they took it away. Well, now I got Marvel Strike Force, which is basically, it's the same thing, only it's Marvel characters. It's the same game.
Yeah.
And Swarm is one of the characters that I got.
Yes.
And he looks cool, and they use him in a good way. Like the idea of Swarm is great.
Yeah.
You're made of bees.
Sentient bees in a cape. All right, let's go.
All right. I mean, I'm allergic. I'm allergic to bees, so that's terrifying to me. You know.
The other thing now on Disney Plus is how much X-Men content there is.
Is there?
They have most of the movies. Okay. I think as they get X'd out, no pun intended, from other streamers, they'll wind up on Disney Plus too. And then they have both the they have the full Fox series, and they also have the Wolverine and the X-Men series that was also really good.
That was really good. I watched that. I'm like, all right, this feels crisp. This feels, it's not Spectacular Spider-Man or Avengers good, but it is probably the best X-Men cartoon I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I loved the 97 X-Men when it was out. I was watching it, the original Fox one.
Right.
But if you try and go back and watch it now, it's a little rickety in places.
Oh, I know it. I knew it then. I had a hard time watching that Spider-Man and that X-Men. And I was like, all right, this feels like you're trying too hard to not do this for adults. You're doing it. You're over-explaining stuff like a 60s Spider-Man comic. But I did love when they would team up. I'm like, Spider-Man and Wolverine are going to have a fight? Yeah.
And the other thing with X-Men, the in terms of like the plotting, they really tried to follow the comics well. I think their adaptations of Phoenix and Dark Phoenix are all really good. Those story arcs particularly held up great. The stuff that always and now really comes across is the quality of acting. Like the actors on Batman the Animated Series, you could take those actors and put them in the films.
Yeah.
And everybody on the X-Men series is yelling every single line.
Yep.
I mean, they're literally like around the table, and Wolverine's like, "Pass the salt!" And he's like screaming it, and every single line has like 3 exclamation points.
Yeah, and it's Bub. Everything is Bub.
Bub.
And every time he can go with the claws.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a sausage? I'll eat it like this. Like, come on, man. You don't have to do that. Stop it. We get it. I
think it's hilarious now that like people are so starved for Marvel movie and especially X-Men movie content. They're zooming in on shots of of Hugh Jackman's new Wolverine uniform and noticing that the housings for his claws now look exactly like the ones in the comics, which they never had before.
Yeah, I love that they finally put him in a freaking outfit, even though it doesn't need sleeves. They put sleeves on it, but
I think that's because Hugh Jackman is 50 now and doesn't want to have to work as hard.
No. Have you seen the videos? He's working plenty hard.
Yeah, but not like he was in. He looks good for his age. Don't get me wrong, but he's not like he was in Days of Future Past, where he was insanely ripped. Yeah. I think this is a bit of like the same reason Drax has a shirt all the time on in Guardians 3, where Batista's like, man, I don't want to work out that hard. Can I have a shirt?
Right.
I'm probably big. I don't need to be that ripped 24/7.
Well, what about again, I'm partial, as you know, to Daredevil, and no matter what series they would put him in, they always got the voice wrong.
Yeah.
Like in the 97 Spider-Man animated show, he talks like this. Hello, Peter. Yeah. I'm Daredevil. And oh no, I'll use my hearing. Like, shut up. That doesn't. He doesn't have to sound like a kid, but he also shouldn't sound like he's 50 and trying to be Batman.
No,
like
Charlie Cox is the first guy to get it right.
He really did. He really did.
Yeah.
We are so pumped. Mikey is showing me, and we're swapping pictures back and forth during the day of, look at this picture of him in the outfit. Doesn't it look great? They're filming apparently the pilot right now because everybody is freaking out that he doesn't have the DD on his chest. Me in particular. I've waited long enough. Why aren't they doing it?
Yeah.
Well, I think it'll happen during the season. I think what they're filming now is, here, from what another rumor was, they're going to have multiple outfits, Bullseye and him. Like it's a progression of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're starting where everybody knew.
Yeah.
But then it's going to this and this and this. And so if you look at the new outfit, you've seen pictures, right?
Yeah.
Before they would always put like dents and stuff where the DD would be. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be difficult to put the symbol there. Well, now it's one chest area plate where I'm like, oh, you're leaving that open. That's going to have the DD on there.
I never really understood why a blind superhero would really need to have a big D on his chest, but I mean, that's just me.
It's not for him. It's very easy. Potter there, who makes his outfits.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
He's the one who said, I gave you horns and everything. Like, oh, okay, because you're the devil. Okay, yeah. So now he's going to go, I know you're Daredevil, so, I put the DD on there. So, if Captain America gets to always have that star on his chest, Daredevil and Spider-Man with the spider.
More to the point, the A on the head.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
I would like it when he and Hawkeye would stand together and they'd say, ha!
Yeah. That's funny, too, because I think I told you last time, years I never knew why Hawkeye wore that outfit. And apparently he's supposed to look like a bird.
It was initially more feathery. That got toned down pretty fast.
You know what I mean? Like even the mask, though. I'm like, why does he have like a Wolverine kind of thing? Yeah. Oh, it's supposed to be a hawk.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay.
I also bought the idea more that it's a circus performer's outfit.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be big and colorful, and you can see it from the back row.
However, I do like the newer one with just the T-shirt and the purple.
I want the H on the head.
I know you do. I know you're partial.
H on the head. But it's better than the 70s one that was basically like he was in a Shakespeare play.
Yes. No, that was the Greek. The Greek Colosseum.
Yeah, he's got like a toga and the cross straps.
Who approved this? What are you doing? You don't even look like a superhero now. Right?
At least before you were stealing clothes from Hank Pym. Where'd you get those?
Seriously. And you looked in the mirror and went, yep, time to fight some crime.
All the Hank Pym clothes were outgrew him. So, all right, we'll over Hercules' locker. What's he got? There we go. Lovely.
Yeah.
weird period.
But as far as practical goes for the movies and stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm glad they went with the Aha. I think is that how you say the artist's name?
David Aja, yeah.
Aja.
Yeah.
Okay. I love his art so much. And that series, I have to
no. It makes perfect sense for the series.
Right. And as far as like a practical cinematic universe, that I like that.
Yeah, I mean, mask aside, I thought the costume they had him wearing in Avengers 2 was kind of like the best compromise between what they did in the movies, but still it looked like his tunic and it had the cross hatches with the arrowheads. It was a real good mix.
I did, yeah.
There has not been a Hawkeye costume that I've hated yet. So
true. Yeah. So what about him? Renner says he's all right. I'm ready to do more. Great.
That guy's a freaking superhero.
I'm telling you, God bless him.
I remember somebody saying, "Oh, well, he was in really good shape before." I mean, it crushed his head like a grape.
Yeah,
his eye popped out. Half his body was flat. I don't care how much you worked out; it doesn't help you with that. I'm amazed he's doing the way he's.
I didn't know his eye popped out.
Yeah, just grim. I can't believe he's walking around, let alone doing the stuff he's doing.
Did you see the commercial of him dancing around?
Yeah.
I'm like, good for you.
He's filming a third series of his TV show too.
So yeah, all right, Hawkeye season 2. Let's go. Let's get going.
When he made the movie Tag, he broke both his arms, and then they just CG'd him throughout the movie. I'm sure they can get him Hawkeye back.
Right. Yeah. Right. And now you have a sidekick to do a lot of the work for you.
Yeah. And the more movies she's in, the better.
Yeah. Yeah, she was great. We just let me think. Yeah, like you. I rewatched it for the holidays.
Yeah, it's a great Christmas special. I love
it. It really is. Yeah. The first episode alone makes me go, "Oh, I want Chinese in New York City now." Right? Like I want to go there and I can taste it and it gets me all like Christmas.
Well, I just built my Avengers Tower Lego set.
Yep. I was telling somebody about that today.
It has the plaque at the bottom that he goes to that says that on this spot the Avengers saved New York and with all their names on it.
Wow, that's detailed.
That's pretty cool.
How long did that take you to put together?
Well, it's hard to say because I did it like over the course of like about 3 weeks, like just an hour here and there.
Sure.
So, but it's the biggest set I've ever built. It's substantial.
You don't have any pets, right?
No, there's nobody here that can knock this over but me.
Not even knocking it over. If I had that, I'd have to build it upstairs where the dog couldn't be because the dog would go, "Hey, what's that?" and eat a piece, and I'd be like, "Oh, you son of a pig."
I haven't moved it back to my library yet, which is going to be a trial. So, because I just finished it, so it's going to be a very precarious move.
Oh man, yeah, I love when you send me pictures of that stuff. I'm like, oh, I don't have the time or the place to put it, let alone the money to own it. But to live it vicariously through you, I'm like, oh, that's good stuff right there.
Apparently, this year's big Marvel set like this is going to be Xavier's Mansion. Yeah.
Oh,
so in.
Man. And then they'll do Avengers Mansion.
I don't know if I could do Avengers Mansion just because most people think Tower these days. I think Avengers Mansion is just for us old fogies, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
Another reason I love Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Avengers Mansion was in there.
What was that?
That's why I love the Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon so much. It had old school Avengers Mansion.
That's true.
I want a table with a big A on it. Let's go.
The rumor is too that Fisk is going to buy Avengers Tower.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And apparently he's going to be like the Earthbound Thanos, meaning he's going to show up in multiple things.
Yeah. Getting D'Onofrio in as many movies as possible is always a good idea.
Right. And I guess again, it's rumor, but he puts together his own team, whether that's the Thunderbolts or even forming the Sinister Six and getting I don't know what movie this would be in. It could be Secret War for all I know. But
at one point there was talk of introducing Norman Osborn to the MCU. and having him kind of fill that role, and then that would let them do like the Dark Avengers stuff where he put together his own.
Well, apparently that's what Thunderbolts is Dark Avengers with possibly Kingpin going, "You are fighting the good fight. Go stop those, blah 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 Trump talk. Those are the bad guys, not me." From the thing. So I if that's true, great. I love it. It makes sense. And also, like, apparently the Hulk movie is going to be a multi-hero kind of.
Well, I mean, my understanding is they still can't make a Hulk movie independently because of the Universal deal.
Oh yeah, from what I heard, it was they're going to do they're calling it World War Hulk, only because one, it's a title that you and I know, and two, it's our world dealing with whatever, and the Hulk is there doing,
They've been doing so good with Hulk as far as just using him in other people's films. I would be very precarious about giving Hulk any sort of starring film.
Let me ask you this, because I have an opinion, but I'm dying to hear what you think. Do you want the Hulk to go back to being Savage?
I think eventually it kind of has to happen just because it's going to be a good story point, but I don't think they should rush into it. I think and also it gives Ruffalo so much more to do and more interesting stuff to do. Because you can use an intelligent Hulk in so many more stories than you can if he's just stupid.
I don't like the gray in the hair because it's aging him. I think when you become the Hulk, you should just have green hair or black, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And okay, yeah, I like, to an extent.
But I think that what they should absolutely do is, over the course of like 4 or 5 appearances, show him struggling to keep it and build to it. As long as you build to it properly, then yeah, but don't just go back and forth like that.
Right. No, not back and forth.
I mean, C-Banner really struggling to stay in control.
Like, let that be your World War Hulk plot.
Yeah.
Him struggling to maintain his humanity, and then just and go, because I love the idea of him being like, basically they'd even have him walk like a gorilla.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That whole, I'm just full of rage and I'm looking to smash something, and you're my friend, so I'll kind of listen to you, but tell me what to hit and I'll hit it. Okay. And then go and do it.
There's that great moment in the classic first Secret Wars comic whenever Doom has dropped the mountain range on them.
Yeah.
Just Hulk holding it up. And Reed Richards wisely starts giving Hulk the business about how he can't do it to get him angry so he can stay strong enough to hold it up. But the more you do that, the more you risk him being able to lose control permanently.
Yeah.
Do that over the course of a bunch of movies.
I agree. And boy, I trust them. They really, Marvel hasn't really let me down where I don't have faith in them. Other than the Eternals and the Secret Invasion thing. And even that wasn't god awful. It just
Love and Thunder. Love and Thunder.
See, I like Love and Thunder. I mean, granted, I didn't need it. You know what I mean? It wasn't the movie I was going, why aren't we getting another Thor movie? We got it, and I went, oh.
It was just too silly by half for me.
Well, that's the thing. They did do a little too much of the silly.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole yeah, the long flashback to their relationship was way too silly, and the business with the hammer kind of following around was a little too muppety for me. I don't know.
Yeah, agreed. But again, I just kind of looked like, all right, it's a bonus Thor movie that I didn't know we were getting.
Yeah.
Okay, and they had to do it because they left him with the Guardians. And if Guardians is going to wrap up, where does Thor go?
Yeah, you gotta get him. Although, I mean, they still kind of left him entirely off the platter because now he's like off in space with the girl. So
he got a happy ending. So if we never see him again, I'm fine with that. But he did get an ending.
Yeah,
with an open door if you want it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've always thought that the plan for those 2 Avengers movies is the first Avenger movie is going to be all the new Avengers, everyone they've built up, and then the second one we'll be bringing back as many of the classics as you can for the big fight, and that's when you bring Thor back. That's when you get Hawkeye back. That's when maybe if you do some multiverse shenanigans, you manage to convince Downey and Evans to come back for a movie,
or recast them. As much as I'd rather have my original guys back. If they're not going to come back, guess what? It's a multi-universe movie,
right?
You know, at the end of it, poof, you didn't know they were gone because these have always been your Captain America and your Iron Man. We should have, like, that even opens up so many doors for the next wave of stuff where Iron Man's daughter knows that's not her dad and has to deal with that. And, you know, all of that is just great. And
by the way, what happened to Ironheart? That was supposed to be a TV show.
Right.
And I think it was filmed.
Same thing with Iron Wars.
Well, that one apparently got pushed back to being on the movie stage.
I heard that too.
Yeah, I hope so, because I think I love that Armor War storyline, and I think doing it with Cheadle feeling guilty for taking care of Tony's work works just as well as Tony.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I went back and looked at it closely with Secret Invasion. I was really upset at what point did the supposedly, spoiler alert, in Secret Invasion you find out that Rhodey's a Skrull.
Right.
When did that happen?
Well,
I didn't lose because Rhodey has so much good stuff in Endgame. I don't want to lose any of that. And they didn't. They established it could have been that it was more after Endgame, which is fine by me.
Right. And that's the big debate that they should have dove into. Like, wait a minute, they're pulling him from the pod. He ain't walking on his own.
Yeah.
So he never got the replacement parts or whatever.
Well, I think with Rhodey, it's always just something he wears. It's not. It's he can't walk around without the armor or the brace. Yeah,
right. But it looks like he never got those braces.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he just needs to put them on.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I do think that they've established it as not being something that's attached to his body, but something he wears as an application. But as long as he comes out of the pod with the injury, that means it's good at least through Civil War. But I just want to keep all that great Rhodey stuff in Endgame.
Right. Me too.
I think his next appearance was in Cap and Winter Soldier.
Yep.
That one can be a scroll. That one's just fine. I don't care about that. From that point on, scrolled up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it gets you excited. That's what I'm saying. Focus on that part now. That that last episode created a new question that you should explore.
Mm-hmm.
When did he become the Skrull? And oh crap, how's he going to deal with what he's missed?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
The other debate is, the rumor is, I really hope this isn't true. In this new Daredevil, in the first episode, they either kill Karen or Foggy or both.
That would be a mistake.
Thank you.
Yeah. What do you gain from it?
Well, Punisher's going to be in this. So if they kill Karen, he was tight with her. So that could be a reason for him to come back to New York and seek vengeance. But first of all, I don't want either one to die. But if one has to die, it better not be Foggy. Foggy is Matt's right hand.
Yeah, and it's the cheapest kind of drama.
Yeah.
Killing off a beloved character out of nowhere, and especially early on in that season. Yeah.
Right.
That was what set me off about Secret Invasion. I didn't like the way they got rid of Maria Hill.
Wow, wasn't that shocking? I'm like, oh, is that true? Is she
and then nothing really came of it. It didn't feel like it had any impact afterwards.
No, he was sad for a while. You got to see a sad Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it's all rumor and hearsay, but they're like filming a version where each of them or both of them dies, and they're just kind of like not telling anybody. But boy, the whole reason they scrapped the first try at this season was because they had started the thing was they were going to start the season with Matt retired from Daredevil after both of them got killed off screen. So you never even get to see it. They just go, "Oh, your friends are dead, huh? Sucks for you." Yeah, I'm not Daredevil anymore. And they were going to go 4 episodes before he even puts the suit on.
No, it's no good.
Right. And thank God, I think they were saying like Feige, again, wasn't at the helm when they were doing those because he was dealing with the Sony people. Came in to say, let's see what you guys got. Watched what they had and said, oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
I'm never one for micromanaging, but maybe a little more micromanaging, you know?
Well,
I don't read some scripts, mayhap.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're the guy. You're the
Marvel. It never should have gotten that far.
Right. To the fact that they went, take the majority of this and flush it. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
And they were going to have the Punisher be there because vigilante cops were starting to wear his symbol and he didn't like it. Yeah, okay, but you already ruined the series when you said that you killed Foggy and Karen off screen. Exactly. I pray to God they don't do that.
Nah, that's, I mean, the unfortunately, that's a real life storyline.
Oh, with Karen, absolutely.
No, I mean the whole business about cops using the Punisher symbol, or not liking it.
Right.
Leave that in the real headlines. You know, I mean, that's why the current Marvel Punisher no longer wears a skull. That's Marvel's rack.
I know.
I don't really agree with that either, but making it a plot line in the show, I think, kind of, I don't know, it minimizes how disturbing that real story is.
Right.
You know, that real life police are like, you know, are taking the mask out of a vigilante. People don't get that Punisher is not a hero.
And that's the point. They really need to go, don't forget, this guy's a scumbag. He may be killing other scumbags, but Tony Soprano was not a good man either.
Yeah. And you know, there's nothing wrong with a series about a hero, but just know who it is you're talking about. Understand that.
Right. Punisher is not Captain America. They're not interchangeable. Yeah. Of course, it reminds me of when I try and explain comics to a non-comic, like let's say my parents' generation. Oh, Batman, does he fly? Because he's a bat?
Yeah.
To this day, I'm like, you know, and I remember being a little kid and going, no. But at the time when you're a kid, you're like, no, but let me tell you what Batman is. And I'm so excited to tell you. Then you get older and you go, oh, you don't really care. You don't want to be educated.
I do enjoy the flip side of that. Like, you know, I go places now and I see, you know, muggles out in the world wearing their Hank Pym t-shirt or their Hawkeye hoodie, and women wearing their Scarlet Witch outfits. And it's not just because it looks cool. They know the mythos now. They know the characters and they dig it. I love that.
Unfortunately, it's only because of the movies. They don't bother to pick up a comic book.
Well, but I mean, one step at a time. I'll take it.
Right. I agree. I try to remind myself of what you just said. It's much better than it was. The fact that Daredevil is a household name, I love that. I have wanted that my entire life since I read that team up issue. I think I showed you pictures. I finally bought like the physical copy because I couldn't. Comixology hasn't uploaded it on there. It's like missing 5 to 10 issues right in the middle of the Marvel team up. And of course, it has to be 123, the one that introduced me to Daredevil. So I'm like, you know what? I found it cheap enough. It's more than a typical comic, but I'm like, can I? And she's like, yeah. So I have it, and I still have it in the cardboard. When I'm not reading it, I put it back in the cardboard that it came in. Keep it flat and protected, you know. But
well, I'll be every year. Usually, I try and be at Disneyland for Halloween, and I'll be sitting on a bench watching. Because that's the one day a year where you can wear a costume at Disneyland. And I'll be sitting on a bench watching kids and their parents go by, and it's like Scarlet Witch, Ant-Man, Loki, Captain Marvel. I never thought I'd see that as a kid.
And don't you want to stop every single one and go, and stop? What's your story, right?
It's so cool. And like, you know, you'll see him over at Avengers Campus, and the little girls are lined up to meet Scarlet Witch or Captain Marvel, and they've got the mouse ears that have the Wanda crown on it. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty great.
I love that. So I see. Yeah, that gives me hope for humanity when that's becoming more mainstream.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I'm so pumped for Daredevil. We're seeing new pictures. They posted a picture today of Charlie Cox out in his uniform, standing on a fire escape with his 1 foot up on the railing, and it looks like that cover from Bendis's run. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Mikey has it as like a small plaque on his wall, and I'm like, oh yeah, that is what he's doing. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but yay!
No, that's pretty hip.
Yeah. Tell me about the books you were going to talk about.
Yeah, I've been doing like a deep dive lately on a whole bunch of vintage stuff. I've been going back and doing some more writing for the 13th Dimension. Every week there, I do 2 columns. One where we look at the new releases for the week, and one where we look at new releases historically from a year in the past of that week.
Right.
What I've been doing more and more of is letting those things kind of lead me back to things I need to reread.
Okay.
Do a deep dive into the Grant Morrison JLA run.
Oh,
I haven't read probably for like 15 years. It's amazing how well it holds up.
Oh yeah.
I think it's the last time somebody really came into JLA with like a concept and a real plan that went somewhere. And Morrison, it's kind of, I mean, I love Morrison stuff, but sometimes he can go too far out for me where I lose interest. Like I never really clicked with the Invisibles.
Okay.
But like his Animal Man run, I love.
I read the first volume, by the way, of Animal Man.
What'd you think?
It's great. The last one is with Wile E. Coyote. That last issue of that one.
That Coyote story will break your heart.
I know. You're like, oh, you poor son of a bitch.
Wile E. Coyote died for all our sins.
I know, right? But I'm like, oh, here we go. This is Grant Morrison. There we go. It's trippy. It's weird.
But with this run, it's like he's trying to do his Grant Morrison thing, which is be out there and cosmic, but still keep it in the Silver Age bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he'll pack it in with like 4 or 5 plot lines that most comics would just do one of, and it just moves so fast and then keeps you running with it. It's great. Well, that one I've been really, really digging.
I bought them all digitally again, up until, because at one point, and this is what I noticed with Grant Morrison, if he starts off strong, it's amazing. But at one point, it veers a little too hard to the left, and now you're like, this doesn't feel like what you're just doing.
Yeah. And in JLA, that didn't really happen. In JLA, he stayed pretty with it. Good.
Let me see. The last one was Rock of Ages, right? Was that his last?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you're right. So up until Rock of Ages, it's excellent.
Yeah. And in the middle, there's that bit where it was the DC 1 million. That
was surprisingly great.
Yeah, it was the one time they took one of their big summer crossovers and they just gave it to Morrison and said, run with it. And and I had forgotten like some of them. He does it again, big cosmic ideas, but it's also kind of saturated with not just Silver Age stuff, but also recent. I had forgotten that he uses Blue Beetle really well, Ted Cord. That's kind of like this adjunct member. And there is this storyline where Vandal Savage has gotten his hands on like 4 Rocket Red armors.
Okay.
He plans to use as weapons of mass destruction. And so that the Justice can't shoot them down, he kidnaps Teen Titans and puts them inside the armors and fires them off like missiles.
Oh, jeez.
So like Aqualad and Aqualad, Speedy, Supergirl, and Jesse Quick are trapped in these armors, which are being used as missiles. That one blows up Uruguay.
Wow. I don't remember that.
It's really good stuff.
You're talking about that. One of my favorite comic book runs, which I wish they would collect because I want to get it digitally. Maybe I could buy them issue by issue, but Our Man.
Oh, the
Rags Morales was the artist.
That was a great one.
And Snapper Carr. They made Snapper Carr interesting. I always hated him.
Yeah. Well, that all kicked off right out of DC 1 million.
Right.
And JSA, that was a great run.
It was so great, and I missed that character because he was an android.
Yeah.
And they made him so they played with time travel and the whole thing. Just I was so excited every month when that came out.
Eventually in that run, they brought back Rex Tyler as one of my favorite characters.
Yes, I love Rex. Love Rex.
Yeah. So
right?
that but JLA big. I found this on eBay, which was a miracle. DC Marvel crossover classics, the first trade.
I have 3 or 4 of them.
This one trade has both Superman, Spider-Mans.
Yep.
And it has the Batman Hulk, which is so hard to find.
Amazing.
And X-Men Titans.
Yep, I have it. It's if it's not right here, it's upstairs.
Yeah, it's long out of print, and it's never going to come back into print. I tried to get like the big treasury editions of the initially. They're all crazy pricey now.
When I first comics, I got the Titan X-Men crossover. But from behind the counter, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm like, I want that. And they're like, all right, it's a little pricey. I'm like, whatever. Now I think back, I'm like, what were you doing?
I mean, when I was a kid, I had the second Superman, Spider-Man one and the Batman Hulk, but only as like pocketbook size.
Okay.
Not series. So I didn't have just to read these at like full size. And that Batman Hulk one, all the art is Garcia Lopez.
Yep.
One of the few times you get like a big long story from him. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. His art's always fantastic.
Yeah. So that was a crazy find.
Well, what about the second Superman, Spider-Man? I liked even more than the first one because
I did too.
Right, because you get Wonder Woman, you get Dr. Doom in it, and he goes to punch Superman, and Superman's like, all right, cut the crap.
Yeah, what do you got?
Right? Like I thought they went deeper into more characters and the parasites in there. I'm like, why does this right? This should have gotten more press.
Yeah. With that first one, I think they were just all kind of so shocked with the idea that they were getting to do it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they got a chance to take the second bite of the apple, it's like, all right, now we're going to do a deep dive.
Right. And they switched like offices. Peter went to the Daily Planet and and I was like, this is great.
Peter Parker's amazed that a boss will treat him well because Perry White's actually paying him what he's worth.
And I love that they didn't go, oh, we're not part of the same world. They go, no, we're part of the same world. We just haven't been in each other's town.
That's the same. They handle it on all 4 of these. And every one of those is great. I love that in X-Men Titans.
Yep. And when I got X-Men Titans, I didn't know who all the characters were. That's how naive I was when I was first getting into comics.
Yeah, well, I think that was part of one of my first exposure to the new X-Men was X-Men Titans.
Okay, so there you go.
Titans, but not the X-Men.
And Deathstroke, I didn't really know who he was.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, all right, yeah.
And now come to think of it, I hadn't read Dark Phoenix yet, so it was kind of lost on me how important that was bringing her back like that. And then after I read Dark Phoenix and I went back to read it again, it's like, oh, this is like tearing Scott Summers' heart out.
Yeah,
this is great stuff.
I'm telling you.
So that one has been fantastic. I discovered this through Facebook. I keep seeing people posting panels of it. It was first a one shot and then a miniseries. Mary Jane Black Cat.
Oh, I vaguely remember that. It was kind of cartoony the way that they drew it.
It's very kind of good girl art. I mean, it's like a J. Scott Campbell cover.
Okay, I was thinking like a Bruce Timm kind of thing.
I think that might have been a variant cover.
Okay,
but again, the storylines right. In the first one, Spider-Man's in the hospital after a big fight, and so both Mary Jane and Black Cat are keeping an eye on him, not because they think someone's going to hurt him, but because he won't stay in the hospital and get better. So they're both trying to keep him there. And then there's a whole storyline involved from that. And then the second one is very much based on 80s comics. Remember Siem and Belasco from X-Men comics? From the demon guys from Limbo?
Vaguely.
Yeah, when that turned in X-Men comics in like the late 80s, where Colossus' little sister goes there and it comes back as a teenager.
Okay.
Bad guys from that, and that's who they have in this of all things, Mary Jane and Black Cat team up. Really fun, good character building between the two characters. Both of those are highly recommended.
Who wrote it?
Got Jed McKay, who I haven't seen much of his work before.
Okay, the name's familiar to me.
Yeah, so get the first one shot first, because that one is more fun.
Okay.
So that's been great. Have you seen the Penguin editions of Captain America, Spider-Man? You can get them at Barnes & Noble.
What do you mean of what? What is it a team up?
No. Here's like the Avengers one.
Oh,
it's a curated academic collection of some of the best Avengers comics from the beginning to about the 60s. And so you get like, it's majority comics.
Sure.
You also get academic essays and discussion, and they're really well. The production is beautiful on the books, and on Amazon they're dirt cheap. Like list price is $50. I got these for like $35 on Amazon.
Wow.
And they've done 6 so far. There is a Cap, Spidey, and Black Panther, and now an Avengers, FF, and X-Men.
Huh.
If you want like a really good kind of like give somebody great Avengers comics, give somebody great Ditko Spidey, it's a perfect.
Yeah, I appreciate when they do that kind of thing, especially the extra stuff. Like I'll get a DVD if it has bonus stuff on it, like that. You know what I mean? Because that's what I can watch the movie anytime on a Fire Stick, but give me the bonus, the chit chat extra bio, or when they go, let's talk about Daredevil for an hour with different creators. Like I love that.
And unfortunately, you don't see it as much anymore. I love that commentary track.
They don't do that anymore.
Not as much because there's not as much DVDs going to or Blu-rays being sold, so it's not something they want to pay for.
Wow, because that's the only reason I would want to buy those.
Like I mean, the Nicholas Meyer commentary track on Star Trek II on Wrath of Khan.
Yeah,
it's like film school. It's a fantastic seminar on storytelling. That's probably my favorite commentary ever. You gotta check that one out.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I love that deep. Well, of course, because of the whole Star Trek Doctor Who thing. I love when you get into the guts of something, and if you give me the purest form, I'm like, all right, I wasn't interested before, but now I am.
George Lucas's commentary tracks on the prequels are also really enjoyable.
Yeah?
Yeah, check those out.
I will. Huh.
So another recent eBay pickup. DC Comics presents annual #1. This is pre-crisis. It's Superman teaming up with the Earth 2 Superman, but it's the only time both Luthors are in a comic.
Oh, that's cool.
Somehow if you remember, there's that great scene in Crisis where like all the villains are together and the Earth 2 40s Luthor with his big red hair, and he's pointing at Earth 1 Luthor, who's in the big green armored suit, and Redhead Luthor's like, this guy's a clown, you don't need him. And I think it was Brainiac, and Brainiac's like, you're right, we don't need 2 Luthors, and just vaporizes Earth 2 Luthor, and that's it for him.
Wow.
So this is like the only appearance of the two of them together.
That's cool.
It's apparently whether Earth 2 Luthor got that grudge.
I would guess so.
Yeah.
Well, I've been going back and rereading, because I've been buying them digitally. My first, Kurt Swan, like Superman issues, or like the DC version of a team up, the world's finest kind of thing.
Yeah, the DC Comics presents the Superman one.
Yeah, exactly. And the one I read, I hadn't read it since I was a kid, with him. I think it's the first one. Him and He-Man teaming up.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
Right? And they hadn't quite fleshed out who He-Man was yet.
Yeah.
And, he's because they kind of have him like being a barbarian, or everything is all mystical. They didn't find their balance yet. And they didn't know quite who was going to be the good guys, who was going to be the bad guys. So I read that. And then I read like a great one. I don't know if it was like a 50th issue or something, where Clark Kent and Superman team up together. There was some sort of rock.
that smells like red kryptonite to me.
And it wasn't, though. Believe it or not, it wasn't a kryptonite thing. It was a wish rock or something that they found.
Right.
And some other planet had it, and they were making it work. And somehow Superman was moving the planet at that time and said, boy, I'm so busy. I wish I were 2 people.
Now I remember that.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they go, wait a minute. So now all of a sudden you have Clark Kent going, wait a minute. Why are you always in love with Superman? And there goes Superman flying. He goes, oh, that guy. And, they get kind of snippy at each other. And it's a heck, again, I read it as a kid, not knowing anything except, oh, this is kind of cool, and not caring about the why of it, just the fact that it was happening. Well, now reading it as an adult, it's not as smooth as the writing today. It's not as, mature as the writing today. They over explain everything. It's always Superman thinking, and if only, and what can I do? Like he's thinking out loud kind of stuff.
Yeah,
very much like the Spider-Man books used to be. And in the end, they're like, I guess we'll have, as much as I enjoy this, one does need the other. And in the end, somehow they become one person again. But I'm thinking at the same time, Superman, that really gave you credibility to hide your secret identity, because now people have seen you too.
Yeah.
Right?
Get as much footage of that as possible.
Honest to God, it's like getting Martian Manhunter to be Clark Kent for a while.
Especially because I think at the time, Clark Kent was a news anchor, not a reporter. He was
yes,
on TV.
He was.
Yeah.
I'll be back. I'll be back for the 6 o'clock thing. I have to go do something. And he'd run off, Isn't that funny? You're right, because they ditched the whole newspaper thing.
Yeah, that was part of the big change in the 70s. That was when they brought in Morgan Edge, too, where Edge bought out the Planet, and he owned WGBS. Which, by the way, makes no sense. It's like if somebody bought the Washington Times and decided to put Woodward and Bernstein on the Daily News.
Right. Oh, you're reporters? That sound like great TV. But it brought back some memories. Then there's the one, I think Kurt Swan drew it, where the guy has a grudge against Superman, and he gets like basically a big yellow belt with a round center that when he puts it on, he becomes invulnerable. And he starts fighting Superman. And it's Superman through most of the issue going, hey, that actually hurt. Wham! All right, stop it. And then by the end of the issue, he goes, I bet you that belt has something to do with that. I'm just going to fly real quick and swipe it off him. The end. I mean, because the thing is big and bulky and gaudy, it doesn't look like it's going to hold your pants up. So you're kind of telegraphing what your power is. Yeah. And so he just goes, all right, swoop.
Last year at WonderCon and at Comic-Con, I focused on getting just a big old stack of 70s Superman. Because I had a few when I was a kid, but not that many. And there's so many I haven't read. And I'm still working my way through that stack. It's just great, goofy Silver Age stuff.
One of the ones I have to read is, and this blew my mind as a kid, it's Superman, Elongated Man, who I didn't know. I'm like, why is he not Plastic Man? And Robin team up. I'm like, wait a minute, Robin by himself? Batman's not around? I gotta read, and he's teaming up with Superman. And
that was in DC Comics Presents. I love DC Comics Presents.
Yeah. And I remember as a kid, I'm like, oh, mind blowing. And they're going to the circus. Wait, Dick Grayson grew up in the circus. Oh, this is personal.
All of the 70s would lean into the team up books, which I absolutely loved. Another one, I just got one of the epic collections of Marvel 2-in-1, where it's all thing team up stories.
I got a couple that had Daredevil in it because of Daredevil. But yeah, I agree. They are fun. And that's the thing. Tynan, when I met him at a con, he was doing Detective Comics at the time. And he was giving us a Bat Family book. And I said, I am so glad you're doing that. One, you're giving us a Bat Family book, a group dynamic. Two, you're focusing on Tim Drake like nobody has in too long. And he goes, yeah, that's my goal. That's what I'm trying to do. And so far they're letting me. And I loved his run doing that, because it felt like it's an obvious thing, especially if you have great characters that aren't doing well in their own solo titles. Like, put them in a team.
Yeah.
Get like, I haven't read it yet, the new Outsiders with Batwing.
Yeah.
I love the Batwing outfit. I love the whole idea. He's Batman adjacent, but he's not just copying Batman. He's like an Iron Man kind of. Go ahead, do that. Go ahead. Oh, Batwoman, who we haven't seen in forever. Good, put her in the team.
Yeah.
Let's get, it baffles me that Marvel, DC, either one. Why don't you do more?
Well, for one thing, and you're seeing this more in Marvel, especially, there's too much trying too hard to match what's on the screen.
Yes.
And that's why no matter what they do with Avengers, it's always kind of some variation of the MCU Avengers. And so there's all these great like supporting Avengers characters that don't get any play anymore. There was a new series called Avengers Inc. that just got canceled too early. And
was that a detective type of story?
It was basically focused on the Wasp, Janet Pym. But then they brought back Hank Pym finally, but they aged him so he looks like Michael Douglas.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I was because Hank Pym's been off the board at Marvel for years. They merged him with Ultron. He was out in space. And so this undid all that, but the Hank Pym that got back, it looks like Michael Douglas because they want to match the movies.
I don't like that. I don't. See, and that's the thing that I still have a problem with Marvel for is they keep resetting the clock every year because they want that look, it's a new number one. So all you non-comic book readers will scoop up a number one. Yeah, but what about the great stories that you were building on that previous year? It means nothing now.
And that's also such outdated thinking that number ones matter anymore.
Right.
For better or worse, comics, I'm not saying comics is a dying industry, but that market that cared about number ones, it's not really there anymore.
Right.
People are reading comics, but they're reading graphic novels.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right. So give us good.
Keep that legacy numbering.
Agreed. Because nobody's going to care. They're going to go, all right, what? Well, who said this was a good one? Okay, good enough.
Yeah.
And then you try it. Now you're hooked, and now you're one of them. And when you're one of us, we're not newbies. We are dedicated. We love the art. We love the writing. We love the craft. We're Marvel's core audience that they should be focusing on, not the passerby who's going to look at an issue and go, oh, I saw this movie. All right. And then you read one issue and go, huh, and then move on.
Yeah.
You're not going to keep coming back.
No. But they'll come back if you give them a complete story. And then onto that and do what you got to do in book form now. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Right. And you can still have a connect and not throw anybody off.
Yeah. Well, I try and do this with the pieces I write for 13th Dimension, where as we're going through like this week, it's the funny thing is, it even kind of works on me, is it makes me go out and track stuff down and buy stuff. This week was comics from 1980, from whatever that week, and it was an issue of Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man, and it made me think of the great Peter Parker run when they first had Spider-Man seriously dating Black Cat.
Sure.
And because before that, the Black Cat was just kind of a Catwoman knockoff character who showed up like twice. But it was Bill Mantlo was the writer on it. It was a long run with Dr. Octopus. She winds up almost dead in the hospital, and Spider-Man's protecting her from Doc Ock. And it leads to like this heartbreaking moment when they've been dating for a while, and he takes the mask off and she can't stand him.
Right.
And it's not because he's doing anything. It's just because he's not Spider-Man. He's just a guy.
Isn't that amazing?
And so I'm like, man, because I had like, when I was a kid, I had like maybe 3 or 4 issues from that run. And there were no comic shops, so I couldn't find the back issues. So I had to kind of like put it together through contacts where it happened. And so I was like, I should track those down. I was about to hit eBay and do a deep dive. And I'm like, there might have been a collection. I do a little bit of research online. Sure enough, there was a Marvel Masterworks last year that has that whole run in it. It should be at my door sometime tonight.
Yeah.
That's anything you want now in comics. If you look close enough, you can probably find it in a nice fat collection. It's just pointing out where to go.
I watched a video, I think it was Comic Tropes, where they were talking about Mantlo and how he was reliable.
He was the guy that was going to come fix your sink if your sink was a mid-range Marvel comic that needed a writer. He just come in there and you're going to get good stories, and it's going to be reliable and it's going to be there on time.
Right. And to do that always blew my mind too, because nobody had done that before.
Yeah.
Nobody had got, oh, that's the real you. No, thanks.
Yeah. No. And you know, Parker was just heartbroken. It's such a great. I'm looking forward to getting that issue just because I mean I haven't seen that issue in probably 30 years, but I can remember it like it was yesterday.
Do you have more books that you were?
Well, speaking of Mantlo, you got to get your omnibus.
Okay, sell me on that.
Seriously, have you never read Rom?
No,
dude. Rom is great. Rom, really? Oh, no, it really. Rom was just a one-off toy from Parker Brothers.
Right.
The big plastic robot toy. He had LED eyes. He made a lot of noises. He had three different ones of them. But so he was just a blank slate for Bill Mantlo. And what Bill Mantlo created this amazing backstory from him, where they're the bad guys are these aliens known as the dire wraiths, and they're shapeshifters, except for they have to actually enter your body and then take you over from the inside out. So it's bad news. And they had taken over all of his home planet's system. And so what they did is they called the best of their best people to come and sacrifice and have like half their bodies transplanted into these cyborg robot shells, because that meant the dire wraiths couldn't get through and take away their humanity. And it was the only way to protect their planet. And so they save the planet, and then they go out into the cosmos to try and track down the dire wraiths everywhere. So Rom has been away from his home for decades, tracking down the dire wraiths, and now they're on Earth.
Okay.
So first issue starts, and it's just Rom landing in this little town in Tennessee. And all they see is this guy shows up and starts murdering people. He kills the mayor. He kills the police chief. Well, he knows they're dire wraiths because he can see them. Nobody else can. So you have the storyline becomes Rom trying to save the Earth while everyone on Earth thinks he's just a murdering alien robot.
Okay.
How does he develop friends and allies? And they very slowly kind of wove the Marvel Universe in and out of this. It's great stuff.
Okay.
It's really fun space opera.
Okay. And see, yeah, that if it's written well and moving, then okay, then I'll give it a shot. Because again, to me, it was like, well, it's based on a bad, goofy-looking toy. I don't know how.
There's the first issue of Rom has all the backstory, and on the box that Rom came, which by the way, Rom was a great toy. I had one, but they mentioned the dire wraiths like 2 words, and that's it. So it was entirely all Bill Mantlo's concept.
Okay.
And at the time, Mantlo was doing that, and he was also doing Micronauts, which also was
right. Sell me on that one.
Oh, Micronauts just as good. You take the first 11 issues of Micronauts, best space opera Marvel ever published. Period. And it's a mix. It's like a mixture of classic Star Wars and you throw in some Guardians of the Galaxy, a little bit of Flash Gordon in there, and the world building is amazing.
Because for me, I was afraid that I'm not going to anchor to any one character. You know what I mean? Like it seems like they're just random.
The lead is Commander Rand, and he leaves their planet to go on like this 1,000-year journey through space in hibernation, exploration. And when he comes back, the whole planet's gone. It's changed, and it's now a dictatorship. And they don't want him anywhere around, walking around talking about the old days of peace and justice. So he's immediately a fugitive. And that has this concept of like the body banks, where the rich people on Homeworld would like go in there and gain youth by taking body parts from the underclass. Which is a terrifying concept when you're 10 and I'm reading this. It's great stuff. And like I said, Michael Golden's art is beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. So he had one guy, Mantlo, taking both just toy concepts with nothing around them and creating worlds. It was like Micronauts was his Star Wars, and Rom was more like his Outer Limits or the Invaders the Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah,
as a superhero series.
When I want a little break from my typical comic run, as you know, I'll jump in and read a random in order the original G.I. Joe. I'm on volume 2 of G.I. Joe now. Is that one on your pile? Or
No. I just
I thought you were reaching for it. And the Marvel Star Wars. You know, so whenever I there's something funny that pops up, I'm always like,
yeah.
That's how Scott.
That Larry Hama Joe run is fantastic. I love that.
Oh, no kidding. It's amazing. I mean, right from the beginning, I'm like, oh, you care. Like you know, this is why he's Mr. G.I. Joe. I love that they gave him that title still as its own thing.
Yeah, let it keep running. Let Hama do that forever. Absolutely.
Without a doubt. And, you know, I read them. I'm like, no, this didn't feel like it was early 80s based on a toy line. This feels like it's Nom. Like it's one of those like, people die and terrible things happen.
The way he spoons out the mysterious backstory of Snake Eyes, it makes him such a tragic figure.
Right?
None of that's in the toy.
I just read the one where basically they just introduced wave 2 of the figures. So Gung Ho, the Joes, it starts off with the Joes, they're pinned down. Well, let's send in the new guys to help out. They jump out of Wild Bill's helicopter, who, again, he was the new guy. And here comes Gung Ho, who's got the horseshoe hair.
Yeah.
He's not completely bald yet. And I don't remember who else, but Snow Job.
Snow Job and Airborne and Torpedo.
Yes, thank you. And they're in the desert, like they're in the dirt. You don't need Snow Job, your snow trooper, to be there. And they're like, no, we got you. You guys move. We'll take over for a while. Boom, boom, boom.
I love that those guys, they were like pro wrestlers. You got to protect your gimmick. If Snow Job's showing up, he's wearing the parka.
Yeah, you had to. I mean, I'm like, really? You're having him with the freaking parka? I mean, granted, it's down.
Yeah.
But you still have the freaking parka. And I'm laughing because, I mean, they have Gung Ho and was it Clutch didn't get along, or Rock and Roll didn't get along with
I think it was Clutch.
Okay. Didn't like him. And something about dating his sister, and, you know, and in the end it was a joke and all this. And I thought, okay, but they try and give you the Cajun accent to Gung Ho. I'm like, don't do that. It's tough enough to hear. I don't want to try and read it.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden it feels like you're watching Gambit on 90s X-Men.
Yeah, or the Cajun Chef. Remember the Cajun Chef? I guarantee.
Yeah, I know, right.
I
don't think there's ever a series more wildly uneven than Marvel Star Wars.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding.
There would be occasionally be some good stuff. And then all of a sudden you got 3 issues of like Don Juan Quixote and the Porcupine Dude and Jackson the Green Rabbit.
Didn't get to yeah, we did. We saw Jackson because he shows up in like the 2nd issue, or the 2nd or 3rd. But it's the Han Solo story where he has to get a group of bandits to help him out.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm at the part where they just shifted back to Luke, and he's on the water planet with the pirates.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Leia's trying to find him, and you know, again, I read it because one, it's adorable to see how they tried to work with what they didn't know.
Right. That's the thing is you read the comics, like they have no idea about Luke and Vader, because at that point neither did George Lucas.
Right. So when I read it because of the differences. I'm like, okay, I can smile and just enjoy what they're trying for, and you know, there's a sincerity, like with Micronauts and Rom and everything. There's a sincerity to really tell a good story with very limited knowledge on these characters. I heard one writer, a female, who she said, you know, we weren't allowed to really we didn't know much about what was coming in the movies, so we couldn't really talk about Vader or Ben or, you know, this, that, or the other thing So I just made up my own stories and like threw new characters in, and that's why you have Jackson. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, but did he have to be Bugs Bunny?
Yeah, that first story that was the first one out of the gate after the 6 issues of adaptation.
Right,
it's rough.
Right? But again, there's a charm to it that I can appreciate. And when I want to read an actual Star Wars, well, there's a whole bunch to choose from on that.
Well, you know who I feel bad for in terms of dealing with stuff like that? I think it was Mike W. Barr. But it might be wrong. But whoever was the writer was on DC Star Trek comics, especially between Star Trek 3 and 4.
Really?
Star Trek 3 ends, they've just brought Spock back to life, and they're on Vulcan. Now, Star Trek 4 picks up 2 years later. They're still on Vulcan. They're flying home to face charges, and then that's where the probe hits. They go back in time to get some whales, yada yada yada.
With the whales, yeah, sure.
Yeah. But for that 2 years or 3 years in between movies, they have to get them off of Vulcan, back into a ship, have adventures. Spock gets his own ship, and then have to take it all away from those characters within like 3 or 4 issues, put them back on Vulcan to pick up where number 4 leaves off. Oh, that is some rough plotting.
Oh, well, I that's probably the worst. I read an article where they were going, look at, here's the people that have owned the Star Trek license for comics. Marvel had it, DC had it, whoever, everybody had it. Here's the good ones. Here's the holy crap, we can't believe these were made issues. Is it the ones where they're in the red sweater uniforms? Is that the one?
Well, the one, the famously wacky ones are the gold key ones from the 60s. Especially the first couple of years, because those comics were drawn by people in Italy who had never seen the show. And all they had were like black and white photos.
Oh my God.
And so like the Janice Rand character, who famously, she's the Kirk's yeoman, and she has this big blonde beehive.
Yes.
They think it's a knit cap and they color it red. They're all wearing like green coveralls and backpacks. In like the first issue, and then the writers didn't know anything either. In the first issue, Spock basically nukes this planet from orbit because the evil plants, you can't trust them. It's the only way to be sure. It's like aliens. It's the only way to be sure. Wow. Now, as that series got on, the show had become more famous. People understood Star Trek. The artists had seen it more, and I think guys like Marv Wolfman came on and Len Wein did some of the writing. So like the latter half of the Gold Key run, some pretty good Star Trek comics. That first couple of years, man, it's crazy stuff.
Well, these are the later ones where I remember them explaining why they couldn't do much. And for all I know, that's the stuff you were just talking about. But there's like this one run that they were so boring, and they were afraid to do anything with them, and it was just a lot of conversation.
Well, Marvel briefly had a run right after motion picture.
Yeah.
But because of there was a very weird contract limitation, they could only discuss and reference things that happened in the motion picture.
Oh, for the love of God. So
anything from the series, couldn't do it. Klingons, you couldn't do it. And nothing, you couldn't do anything that wasn't from the movie. Which soon led to them going to the haunted house planet and meeting Dracula.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Dracula?
Yeah. Now, to be fair, there's an episode of Classic Trek where Kirk hangs out with Abe Lincoln. So, right. I mean, it's not that big a stretch for Star Trek, really.
Was that on a holodeck?
No, that was they're on this planet where there's a big alien rock dude conjures up alien allies for Kirk for a big battle. So it's like two historically villainous characters versus Kirk and his buddy Abe Lincoln, and then they go have a big tussle.
Wow,
it's not one of the better episodes, and yet I love it so.
Well, sure, yeah, there's some things that I can go, yeah, not my favorite, but it does have its own feeling to it, so I can enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can tell it's a third season episode of Star Trek, which is when most of the stinkers arrived third season.
And I think you probably told me this already. Didn't the first season of Next Generation use old scripts from the original?
Well, not just the very first episode, two-parter, used part of a planned series called Star Trek Phase 1 that was supposed to be that eventually became Star Trek the Motion Picture. But they had some scripts from that they used, and then they also used later because of a writer's strike. But most of the stuff in Next Gen with Riker and Troy was derived from the Decker and Alia characters that we saw in the motion picture and that were created for the Phase 1 series that never happened.
Wow. That it's on YouTube. I think we talked about it. That bio where they talk about the making of Next Generation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are you talking about the one that Shatner directed?
Probably, yeah, because he's hosting it. I think
it's pretty good. It's really good, actually.
Great stuff because they do the guts of it, and they're talking about how Roddenberry, not the hero that you think everybody wants to. No, he was a pain in the rear end and weird, and caused a lot of crap.
Gene Roddenberry was complicated.
That's a good way. Yeah, but they're like, can we get
as a person who has derived no small amount of career success from working on Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry was complicated.
But to hear them telling it, they're like, can we get him off the lot? Well, he's Gene Roddenberry, son of a bang.
There are famous stories about him trying to do rewrites on the movie scripts. And the studio heads pulling their hair out, going, "What are you doing? The script is done."
Yeah,
Roddenberry had a complicated relationship with his creation because, at the one hand, he wanted the element of control, but on the other hand, he wanted to get stuff done, and he wanted movies to be made and TV shows to be made, and so he would take deals even though he wasn't in control. And then, it was up and down.
Well, it's funny because I never knew any of this. I just heard, isn't he wonderful because peace, love, and, no war is what he wanted with Star Trek. And then I watched this thing. I'm like, this show was a mess.
Yeah. There are 8 episodes of Next Gen first season, and then there are ones that are just head scratchers. How did it get made?
Yeah. Well, when I met Cindy, she hadn't known about Stargate yet, and her go-to show was Next Generation. She was telling me about how much she loved it, and but everybody always says third season is when it starts to get good. And I'm like, okay, I haven't gotten there.
Yeah,
I watched it randomly.
Third season is where it gets good consistently because there are great episodes in season 1 and season 2.
Yeah,
but there are plenty of swing and a miss too.
Yeah, well, that first episode, I was rough. Oh no, Wesley falls on some plants, and now you're all gonna get killed or whatever that.
That one's not a standout. No.
And I'm like, this is your pilot? This is what?
That wasn't the pilot. That's episode 3.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't it Space Station something or other? Was
the pilot involves the first meeting with Q, the omnipotent alien. Yeah, and it involved a mystery on Farpoint Station. It's the pilot I like. The pilot's got some good stuff in there. Yeah. But that episode with Wesley falling on the grass, not so much.
Oh, and the sets were terrible.
The biggest problem is that they didn't coordinate it well. So all the writers wrote Wesley saves the ship stories, and they all got produced and made too close together.
Mm-hmm.
By episode 4 or 5, the audience had their knives out for this poor kid.
Right.
And the character as conceived had possibilities, and they could have used them in great ways, but they did that so much in those first few episodes they could never get the audience back.
Right. I love
4th season when they made him an acting ensign, put him in a real uniform and not a sweater. Yep. And I said, all right, now we're on board with Wesley.
Yeah. And by then I think they were already going to get rid of him.
Then he had famously clashes with producers because he wanted to just go make movies because people forget that at the time there were 2 movie stars in Next Gen, or 2 real stars. It was Will Wheaton and it was LeVar Burton, and everyone else was unknowns. But Will Wheaton was fresh from Stand By Me, which was a huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to go make some other movies, and they said, no, you can't have the time off. So he just said, well, then I quit.
Which, I mean, not great for him, but I think the audience was okay with that.
But it's also just a bad look for your producers. Why are you being this possessive over the least important member of your ensemble from a storytelling standpoint?
Why don't you let him go make a movie so then when he comes back it means something?
Right? So easy. Yeah. But I mean that period of Star Trek was rife with that kind of they just kind of randomly replaced the Dr. Crusher character just because of clashes with the producer.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing. I'm like, oh, so that's that curly blonde woman. Okay, she was her replacement. Ooh, yeah. No offense to the actress, but
no, wow. Yeah, it wasn't Dana Muldaur's fault either, who played Pulaski. They thought, I mean, a lot of the problem with writing Star Trek in general is that if you're adhering to Roddenberry's utopia, that means there's no conflict.
Right.
And he famously did not want conflict among his characters, among his crew, his regulars. But so what they wanted to do they got rid of Gates McFadden for just stupid reasons. And then they replaced her with the new character. And they wanted to get that kind of back and forth repartee, rivalry, friendly enemy thing that he had between Spock and McCoy.
Sure.
Original series. But the problem is they didn't realize that Spock fights back. Spock will needle McCoy.
Right.
Data doesn't do that. And so every episode, Mulder was like disrespecting Data, calling him it, insulting him, and he wouldn't fight back because in his character, correctly, he wouldn't do that. So it's like she came on kicking a puppy every week. Audience hated her.
Yeah, that's true. And plus, everybody liked Crusher.
Yeah, she was a great character. She hadn't been given enough to do at that point. Well, you could say that about most of the cast.
Sure.
That was why Denise Crosby left so early. It's just she didn't feel like she was getting enough to do.
And I was always told once she's killed, or her story of her death, from then on it got good.
Yeah, no, they brought her back in clever ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean she was only on 3 or 4 more times, but at least those appearances had an impact.
Parallel Earths and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw one of those. I'm like, well, see, that's the stuff I like. Let's have some fun. I saw the one with the basically the time loop where they're off by a couple seconds. They get out of the elevator.
Cause and effect. Yeah, it's a great episode.
That was a great episode because they were showing them on BBC or something. Yeah. And I was like, all right, I'm going to watch these. They're not in order, but who cares?
And then Fraser Crane shows up at the end, which is also cool.
What was?
Fraser Crane shows up at the end, which is cool.
Oh, does he? Is that the one where he does?
Okay. Yeah, at the end, the ship that caused it comes out of the warp, and it's a ship from 100 years ago, and it's Kelsey Grammer in like a Trek 2 era uniform.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't see the end of that one. Now I got to go back and watch it.
It's good stuff. Next Shit had some odd and surprisingly fun cameos like that.
Yeah.
Because it kind of became the show everyone wanted to be on once it got hot.
Right. I gotta, boy, it's tough because that, and we talked about, I tried to watch Babylon 5.
Let's see. I love me some Babylon 5.
And I'm sure I will too, but I jumped on the wrong end of it.
Yeah. No,
I gotta have someone sit next to me and go, here's how we watch it. This is what you need to know. Because I watched the miniseries. I watched the one that was supposed to be the war that started it all kind of thing.
No, you can't do that. Yeah, that's terrible. And that's not that it's terrible, but it's like coming in the middle of a play.
Right. Like I watched it and went, oh, that was a good, tight little story, but I'm not Mr. Babylon 5.
Yeah, no.
I'm not eager to watch more.
Yeah, and there's great stuff in that first season, but in that case, it doesn't get really good until Boxleitner comes in and replaces the captain.
Yeah.
Boxleitner gives that show the kind of like dramatic oomph it really needs.
Did you watch the animated movie that just came out?
I still haven't watched it yet.
I've heard great things.
I know I do too. And then
I thought of you, and I'm like, he probably already saw it, but if you hadn't,
it's on my stack.
and apparently, they were gonna reboot it. like not reboot it, revive it, I should say.
Yeah, well, the problem is half the cast, unfortunately, is gone now.
Right.
So what Straczynski wants to do is more of a reboot, like the Galactica reboot.
Sure.
Where you start from scratch with similar themes and characters.
Yeah, and I heard that got scrapped.
No, it's still in the works. In fact, Straczynski was just talking about it yesterday. Is that basically because it's still being shopped around to streamers, and because of the fact that Paramount is in flux, they don't want to go too far with Paramount because no one knows who's going to be owning Paramount in a month.
Right.
Well, it's apparently still currently in limbo.
Okay.
I hope it works. I'd love to see that again.
You're going to get a random text when I find myself going, what should I start to watch? And I'm going to send you a text. Go, tell me the episode to start.
Yeah, no, I'll give you. I mean, from season 2 on, watch them all. But also by season 2 on, Straczynski is basically writing every episode.
Right. I loved his Spider-Man run.
Yeah, it's great.
Right.
But season 1 has a few outliers you can skip. I'll give you.
Okay, because that's what I'll need. I'll need to go, okay, tell me the list that I should start with, and I'll tell you when I catch up, and then I'll move on from there. Because I want to like it so much. I really, really do. But every time the episode I started with, which I thought was the first one, it starts in a bar and 2 guys are bickering. And I'm like, I didn't get into it. I didn't get the feeling of what Babylon 5 is supposed to be. And, and then I thought, okay, try again. I heard this miniseries is good. It's the beginning. And like we said,
it really is the best example of kind of a novel for television in terms of being a long form storytelling. There's a plot element that it comes up in like episode 3, is never mentioned again, and then it's super important in season 4, episode 22. I like that. That's planning.
Well, that's what they did with Stargate. I mean, Stargate, they would do little things as they're passing. And what are you working on? Oh, I'm working on the, B-52, blah, blah, blah. Cool. And they'd move on. Wasn't important.
Yeah.
But they remembered, and they came back to it later, and they kind of mention it. And then a season or 2 later, oh, there it is. That's the thing. And now they don't shine a spotlight on it to say, remember when we said this? But if you're watching it, you go,
there it is.
Oh, payoff. Oh, wow.
That's what Straczynski does over and over with Babylon 5. Really good stuff.
I love that kind of thing.
I meant to ask, did you reach Godzilla -1?
Okay, when I can catch it on a Fire Stick, I will, because everybody's talking about it.
So not just the best Godzilla movie in years, maybe the best movie I saw last year. Up there.
That's what a lot of people have said that.
You could take all the Godzilla elements out of it, and it's still a great movie.
The moment I can watch it digitally on the Fire Stick, I will, because not that I'm a big giant monster knocking down buildings guy. That's a thing for a kid, but if it's written well, okay. Like, I enjoyed the first 3. I watched Godzilla. I watched I loved Kong Skull Island. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I did too.
Right? I watched the next Godzilla one.
I didn't watch that. It's pretty good.
Right? But I really enjoyed, of course, Kong versus Godzilla. And I was like, wait a minute, Kong loses? Bull crap! Because I kind of side with him more than Godzilla. Yeah. But okay, more of that. And now I'm watching Monarch.
I just got Apple Plus so I can watch Monarch. I haven't started yet.
It's good. It's nice. It's a nice journey. But
Godzilla -1 is entirely set in Japan, in post-war Japan.
Okay.
And so it's really much more. It's as much an analogy about Japan after the war and how the government treats its people. There's a lot of stuff going on there. It's
not ad lib though, is it? You have to read.
Yeah, it's subtitled. Yeah.
Okay, so I have to prepare myself for that, because that's really staring and paying attention.
Actually, no, I take it back. I saw it dubbed. It's dubbed.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, that helps, because otherwise it's a lot of reading, and you got to read fast, and not everybody keeps the writing up long enough for me to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let me think. So, okay. So the idea of that is it's not modern day.
No, not at all. No.
Okay. But it's from the perspective of us.
It's from the perspective of a kamikaze pilot who refused to kill himself, and he feels like a failure. And when he returns home, Godzilla destroys the base, and so he feels the guilt for not helping stop Godzilla at this one time, kill his crew, and then him trying to rebuild his life as Godzilla then heads back to like the mainland Tokyo, and you've got to track him through the return of Godzilla to Japan. It's really good.
Okay, I'm dying to see it.
Very human story for a story about Godzilla.
I just watched Prey, P-R-E-A, or Y, P-R-E-Y.
Predator movie?
The Predator movie.
Was it good?
Yeah, because it's like 16 something, and she's a girl in her Indian village, and they're like, what do you think you're doing? Well, I'm going to go hunt with you guys. No, you're not. You're the woman. You stay, you weave, you cook us something, shut your mouth. And so she has that young girl, I'm going to prove myself kind of thing, and I'm going to go out and hunt with you. And lo and behold, hey, we got the signal from the sky. There, and basically it's the alien ship crash landing. The alien predator ship crash landing. And she's like, tells her brother, I got the sign from the gods that, it's now Wakatana time or whatever, their term is, which the great hunt. Well, long story short, she got to deal with the predator. And it's great because it's not current day predator. It's a predator wearing a different kind of mask. And they don't come out and say, by the way, it's a predator movie. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. You go, that's the predator. Like, so far you if you didn't know, you just watch it and go, there's some sort of creature that this Indian girl has to hunt or is unaware of. And then as it goes on, you go, wow, that seems kind of reminiscent of, and then when they do the three red dots, you go, and it all clicks.
Is he like an old timey predator or like a steampunk predator?
Yeah, kind of. Cool. I know you're joking, but I'm like, yeah. I mean, that's a lot closer than what we know of as the Predator.
It's funny because I just watched the original 2 days ago after Carl Weathers passed away.
Okay,
man, that original still holds up. The original is great.
I only saw the original 2-3 years ago, probably during COVID. I finally sat down and went, okay, because I saw the second one.
Yeah,
and I love the second one. I love it. And then I read the Batman Predator, which I love too, because I'm like, holy crap, this thing is bad. Like, wow, it's scary. And so after all these years, get to the chopper. I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. It's classic. I gotta watch it. And through the first chunk of the movie, it has nothing to do with the Predator.
No,
it's them on their mission.
Yeah, it just looks like another one of Arnold's action movies.
Yeah, it's okay. A bunch of meatheads go boom, 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 boom. Got it. Okay, all right, we're back to this.
Yeah, it's a slow build.
It really is, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, bad, everybody's dying. Oh crap.
Yeah,
and then you're like, how's he getting out of this? And then the way it works, you go, oh, very good. All right.
I was so bummed when Carl Weathers passed away last week.
He was a good guy.
Good guy. I never heard a bad word about him, and I love the fact that he was so versatile.
Well, we saw him on Chicago PD.
Yeah, and in all the action stuff in the '80s and in the '90s, and then odds come around. I was like, oh, this guy is funny. Like, he's funny in Happy Gilmore. He's really funny in Arrested Development.
Well, and he's one of those guys that I always rooted for to get more work.
Yeah,
like I'd see him and go, oh, that's the guy from Rocky. I like him. Why don't we see him? One of those like dream. If I was able to write and put together my own cast for this movie or series that I'm going to make, if you had that option, I would go back and get certain actors that I love that I think deserve more work.
Yeah, and then he had that great third act too with The Mandalorian.
Exactly.
And then,
at the same time, Chicago PD, he's doing both things. I'm like,
first award he ever got for acting was a nomination for Mando, and he directed like 3 episodes.
Did he?
Yeah, I love seeing that. There's a book by the guy who made Predator, and he talks about casting Weathers for Predator, And the studio didn't want to do it because, the rest of the cast was mostly character actors and wrestlers and muscle men. And so they didn't want to spend the money it takes to get a real actor. And the director was like, look, if this is only like Arnold's third or fourth movie, he's still learning how to act. If I put him in scenes with Carl Weathers, he's going to be so much better just from learning from Weathers and reacting to him. And so they said, yeah, all right, go ahead and get him. And he said, sure enough, days that Arnold wasn't even supposed to be in the scene, he'd be on set just watching Carl Weathers. And so all their scenes were so much better because you had somebody really good. Because acting is just reacting. Right. And for somebody who was so new at it, you get Weathers in that scene and it's going to be better.
Mm-hmm. That's true. It's true because, again, you just like him. Even if he played like he was, not the most likable guy on, say, Chicago PD. And you're like, no, I still like him. I still, I'll root for this guy, even though I'm not supposed to. It just, you felt safe with his acting. You're like, all right.
That was a sad one last week.
What got him?
They haven't said. I mean, reports are just that he passed away in his sleep.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if he'd been sick.
I mean, I haven't heard any stories or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Give it a couple months. They'll figure out.
Yeah. 76, I think he was, which, is not that old.
No, not that old. Way too young. Should not have gone. But, I mean, hopefully at least it went to sleep and,
Yeah, come on.
All things could go. That's the way to do it. Right? Wanted to ask you, have you been watching Quantum Leap?
No.
Okay. Love Quantum Leap. Glad it's back. However, I'm gonna vent to you because you'll appreciate where I'm coming from with this, because it wasn't just me, it was the whole family. You understand the premise of Quantum Leap.
Yeah, that's all the old one.
Okay. So this is basically, it picks up from there. They're still trying to find Sam. New guy goes into the accelerator because he found out some information about his fiance to save her life. So he jumps into it, even though she was supposed to be the one that was training to be the leaper. He was the scientist guy that was just working on the project. So he's the one. So he's the guy. She's his hologram most of the time. Carry on from there. And they mentioned Sam, and Al was part of it until he had passed away. Right. They talk about it, Well, being how it's, you have to talk about current things. They did an episode. They have a very nice, diverse cast. There's an Asian girl, the Magic from the first series, who is in the character's name was Magic in a two-parter, The Leap Home, where Sam tries to save his brother in Vietnam.
Okay.
He leaps into a black soldier in his platoon named Magic. They call him Magic because he's good luck. They use that character to be the head of Quantum Leap Project now.
That's cool.
And it's Ernie Hudson.
Great.
Wonderful. Great. And it's that, and you go, yep, I believe it's that character. And wow, what a great callback. Because it's Quantum Leap, and you have to talk about diversity occasionally. And and the cast is, they have a non-binary character who's like the computer person. They have an Asian girl, Ernie Hudson. The lead is Korean.
Right.
Okay. You don't have to shine a spotlight on it. We see it. We got it. If it comes up in it as far as their character goes and it's natural, you should discuss things.
Yeah.
Last season, they did an episode called Let Them Play. And it was like in the 2000s or maybe late 90s. And this transgender girl, went from a boy to a girl, was trying to play basketball and getting crap for it. So you get the premise.
Yeah.
Great. They danced on the line of being preachy, but got away with it. We're like, okay, there's your episode to talk about that. And it gave Ian the opportunity for them to talk about being, I don't know if he's transgender or non-binary. I think it's just non-binary. Great. I want, and we talked about this. I want inclusion for things, but we now currently live in a world where the pendulum tends to swing too far one way to try to adjust for the other side.
Right.
So they brought the writer director back this season for this past week's episode. There was so much wrong with this episode as far as just writing, not even talking about non-binary anything. That let me prove my point. You tell me if you can figure out what the plot is. He leaps in. They are at the reading of a will. He is one of the three sisters that are at this reading.
Okay.
Will of their father, who was never around, never a good father, always out treasure hunting. They all bicker. You're the stuck-up one. You're the blah, blah, blah. Well, they have to go. They each get some piece of junk vase, or here's a miniature ship in a bottle kind of thing. He drops it. It smashes open, and there's a piece of a map. The other two go, wait a minute, smash their pieces. They each have a piece of the map. How do you think this episode ends? What do you think they're going for?
Well, the map goes together, and clearly something's there.
But the whole point of the episode, it's to make the three of them with each of their pieces.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Right.
Yeah.
Because in the end, the real treasure is family.
Oh.
Thank you. I predicted it before the title card showed. I didn't say anything. I went, oh God, please don't be this script.
The real adventure is the friends we make along the way.
It's exactly that kind of thing. And it's okay. It takes place in the 1950s. So the one sister, and they do cast real non-binary people to play non-binary people. Great. If they were not getting work before, it's great that they're getting work now. But right away, they're like, and Dina, it's Dean. There's one. Okay. Got it. It's the 50s, though. So let it go. But that's all she's an angry person who they're making you aware that she's not feminine.
But also, if it's the 50s, she wouldn't be doing that.
Thank you.
That doesn't work.
This is what I'm saying. And it gets worse. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't be fighting so hard. And if she did, the world would go, all right, Dina, shut up.
Yeah, I mean, and you can tell that story in the 50s, but she'd be hiding it.
She'd be hiding it, and it would be
wrong. It'd be the struggle of how she wants to talk about it, but she knows she can't. That's the struggle there. Yeah.
This is exactly what I knew you would say. I'm thinking about it today at work. I'm like, this is how I feel about it. And he's going to probably say exactly what you just said. That's the story. The thing is, you're not going to be able to go, you're free to be you in 1950. It should be Ben, who is the leaper, saying to her, listen, I understand what you're going through. I have a friend who's in the same predicament. Keep on keeping on, but understand that the world will not bend for you.
Yeah.
It's 1953. No, you're not even going to be able to vocalize that.
He can be your window for change for that modern voice because he's a modern character, but you can't have the other characters doing that whenever it's the 50s.
So throughout the episode, any chance they get, they have her remind them, I'm Dean, every time. It happens 4 times, I'm going to say. And I may be missing 1 or 2. But she constantly, that's her catchphrase, I'm Dean. Got it. So then they do stupid things like the map that they're carrying. Well, they leave it in a bag on a bar while they go look at pictures to find their father on the map of the wall of losers that the father treasure hunter. Oh, we take pictures of all those crazy treasure hunters, put them on that wall. Dean says to the sister, all right, the map is in this bag. Watch this. Goes over. They have their little scene of, oh, there's Dad. They turn back. Where's the bag? Where's the bag? Come on. Nobody's that stupid. And if you're that stupid, you don't get to get a treasure.
Yeah.
So then...
You know what you don't do with your treasure map? Put it down.
Leave it out of your grasp, let alone your sight?
Come on.
So, because Ben has photographic memory like Sam did, he's like, wait, I think I can redraw the basic idea of where things are. Okay. And it's got a lot of double meaning on stuff, like where, the Shamrock. So they're like, oh, it must have to do with St. Patrick. No, it's when they find the key behind a fake rock.
Yeah.
Right. See, we can write this in our sleep. So that goes on, and there's a lot of those kind of moments where you just go, you're not trying to, when you sat down to write this, you didn't care about the story. You cared about your soapbox that you were going to step on again because you got another opportunity. And this time it's not subtle. They get to a point where the episode, and it's an adventure story. It should be Indiana Jones and kind of fun, and we're treasure hunting, and that they kind of start down that road, even though it's predictable. Fine, I'll, whatever. But all of a sudden they look, and Dean's shirt is ripped, and she's got binding.
Oh, jeez.
Exactly. So the sister goes, oh, by the way, the other sister is a little snot. She's married with kids, they say, and she doesn't want to go on this stupid thing. And when she's like a Willie Scott kind of.
Yeah.
I brought, what's in your luggage? An evening dress and some makeup. We told you to bring the essentials. Well, we never know when we might have to dress up. Like, okay, so that's your character.
Eesh.
So at one point she notices that Dean is wearing a wrapping. She goes, are you hurt? No, not physically. So then they go on. Like I said, it grinds everything to a halt for them to have the I'm not a man or a woman thing. And then Ben has to go, that's called, it's like a light switch. The world kind of tells you it's on or it's off, but there are some people who don't feel it's either.
Ugh.
Non-binary is what that's called. So they actually pick apart what non-binary means.
It's an after school.
Thank you. It's just about to say that. It's an after-school special to go, kids, many of you guys have been hearing about non-binary.
And I mean, let's counterpoint this. I thought the way they handled this issue on the first of the new Doctor Who's was so much more subtle.
Right.
They didn't go crazy with Rose explaining Rose's situation. You got it from context, and it was elegant.
You got it from context, and you got it from not her even being in the room, but Donna and her mother talking about, how do I handle this? Good. Done. Thank you. Move on.
It was not at all an after school special. It didn't like you just describe these things through character. You don't do it by giving somebody a gigantic monologue like that. That's terrible.
You sound like a writer. But yeah, I mean, it was so ham-fisted, soapboxy. Like we're watching it and going, okay, like nobody's saying anything. We talked about it afterwards, but I'm watching it going, before they got to this, I'm like, this is not a well-written episode at all. This is predictable and cliche. And, because the writer's non-binary, you got to throw that in with everything you do. And my thought is, be more. You already did that. You hit your button first season when you wrote that episode. Fine. It doesn't have to be what you're all about. Like, be more. You do more for your cause.
But it's that heavy-handed. All that does is bore your allies and enrage the people who don't want to listen.
Right, because somebody did post afterwards, and she had, or they, I don't know what they go by, had reposted. Oh, clearly this person knows what Quantum Leap's about, because they ripped into it saying, will you please stop? That wasn't subtle. And they were right. But of course, they came off bigoted.
Right.
They're like, I don't need politics in my TV viewing. Let's calm it down.
No, but the thing is, I mean, Quantum Leap has always been about identity politics, but
Right.
it just did it better.
Yep. And subtle. And again, you don't get to have like the big speech in the 1950s.
Like to use the Doctor Who comparison, people who are your allies aren't going to complain about it because it was well done, and people who might be inclined to judge it or disagree with it might actually be swayed by the fact that your story was told well and see things differently. You can better if it's done subtly.
And I think that was what they were trying to do when they wrote it, but you lost focus of how to write a story. You lost you were again, it was I need to say these things and then wrote garbage around it.
Yeah.
So then just so they can get to this, and you can feel the whole episode go because they're walking and they stop literally. And she goes, "What is that? Are you hurt?" Not physically. And then they get into it. And I don't know what I am, but I'm not going to live in this world like this, the way the world wants me to live, and blah, 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 blah. And Ben calmly gets on his thing, which then they show Ian back at the control room watching this with tears in his eyes. Like, oh, well done, Ben Song. Well done.
Stop it.
I'm telling you. And it was so hokey and it was such an insult to what the effort was supposed to be towards. Like, I understand the idea was supposed to be good.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. And I said, okay, so here's the episode that I can actually say was a bad episode, because I'll try to swing it in a positive way no matter what. This wasn't officially a bad episode, because then she's like, so are you still my sister? And she goes, I'm still your sibling.
Come on.
Okay, got it. Okay. And then they start to walk again, and the married one stays back, and they turn and look at her, and she goes, I'm divorcing Kevin. What? I'm divorcing Kevin. He's not good to me. I'm taking the kids and we're going, which I think the point was because her sister was so brave that she's now going to be so brave and leave her husband who's a jerk. Okay? So, yeah. So, again, a lot, too much, too quick, just trying to hit everything.
That's disappointing.
Then they go to, which is clearly a Paramount backlot, which is supposed to be Mexico. And I recognize the outside of the church because it was used on a season 1 episode of MacGyver. But again, that was back when it was new. So I'm like, oh, it's the same church. They go in, blah, blah, blah. Oh, they have to put in the key, and they turn it, and nothing happens. Oh, you need the power of 3 or whatever. So each of them has to take a turn on the key to bring them together. It opens up. There's the box. They pull out the box. Gears start to turn under it. And they're like, what is that? Things start to rumble. They run outside, and you'll appreciate this because I'm sure you've probably been there. It's the Paramount water ride where the flood comes bashing from around a building. I've seen it 1,000 times, and I'm not even
on the Universal lot, the flash flood.
That's it. It's the flash flood. They filmed the flash flood.
Do that because everyone knows that's a Universal flash flood.
I know it.
That's like filming at the collapsing bridge or the Red Sea.
or having Jaws show up, out of the water on the boat ride. That's been there forever, and I could see it. I recognize the road. And they go, oh, when we moved the box, we must have opened the waterway. And so they're like, oh no. And they duck down under where the water then comes down and splashes.
Yeah, where the tram is parked.
And they said on Twitter, this is where Lady Gaga filmed. Right where they squat down is where Lady Gaga stood when she filmed her video for whatever.
Yeah, by the way, you know how they know that? They tell you that on the tram.
No, there you go. They hide down, they bury themselves, they cover each other, and the water just trickles over them for a couple seconds as it would on the ride. They go, oh, phew, whew. I said to the family afterwards, if they stayed in the church, they would have stayed dry.
Yeah.
And this wasn't a life or death thing. This was just a minor inconvenience because you got a little damp.
No,
So
you heard about all the huge storms we've had out here this last week or so?
Uh-huh.
People were putting up clips of the flash flood at Universal saying, man, this storm is never going to stop. Everyone recognizes the flash flood scene.
Yeah, right? So then they open the box. Here we go, guys. There's nothing in it. What?
Is it a mirror?
Wait, it's got a fake bottom. And they pull out a paper that basically says, my dear daughters, I wasted my life by searching a treasure. I wish I was there with you. The real treasure is that you three have been brought together. The real treasure is at home. So you just go, oh, for the love of God.
It's the pilot for the new series, How to Hate Your Father.
Oh, they talk about what a deadbeat daddy was and how they really didn't know him. So then they go home, and he's like, I haven't left yet. I don't know why. Huh. Wait a minute. He said the treasure was at home. They moved the picture of the four of them, the big painting, and behind it is a hole in the wall that when he opens up the safe, there's $40 million worth of diamonds and jewels and stuff that the father had apparently already found and decided to mess with his kids one more time, even though he's dead. Right.
That's rough.
This is what, right? Even if you took out the non-binary part, it's such a bad. It's there's nothing good about it.
The bad thing is, now I'm gonna go to Peacock tonight and try and find this just so I can see the flashlight scene.
Okay. It was called.
I don't think I'm having trouble finding it.
No, it's the most recent one.
Yeah.
It's the Family Treasure, I think it's called.
Of course it is.
Right. Now, most episodes are fine, even when they get a little, let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya about transgender or whatever. Like I said, the first season she did an episode, and you're like, little preachy, but I can stomach it. It's still, it was still good. It was still filled with heart. Okay, everybody need, equality. Great. Get everybody involved. Fine. Treat everybody equal. Well, in this case, I'm thinking this did more damage than good. This was not, your message was too, like you said, you just made people who weren't on your side more not on your side. And those who are your allies are going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is insulting to the cause. If there's,
like I said, I thought
Dr.
Davis with Doctor Who had handled that very deftly, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
What did you think of the last Tennant one with Neil Patrick Harris?
Love it.
So good, right?
Hey, look at you got David Tennant. I'm happy anyway. So anything he was, I'm like, oh, give me more of that Doctor. I love that's my favorite Doctor. Give me. And then you get Neil Patrick Harris, who's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's like omnipotent, scary. Like, oh, poof, your flowers. Poof, you're there. He's like, no, stop.
And do you know who played that character originally?
I saw the original footage.
Yeah. Well, he's so young, it's hard to recognize him. It's Michael Gough. It's Michael Keaton's Alfred from the first Batman.
Wow, you're right. It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can't make out that that's him.
Yeah. But I thought the way Harris played it. I mean, there's some stuff in there that really gets into how Doctor Who's companions are all kind of disposable, and he just gets over it.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
That's exactly it. And it's just twisting the blade that I thought was great. And then I have not yet watched the first full episode with the new guy, but in that episode, I loved him. I thought he was great.
He was great in that. Come back to me after you watch it.
Yeah,
it's a little. Well, I don't want to mess with your view of it.
I mean, when you after a regeneration, there's always that kind of period of adjustment to the new guy. But I thought what I saw of him in that first one was very promising.
Yeah, I got a buddy who said, "Oh, I hated Capaldi." I said, "What?" Yeah, I watched the first 3 episodes of him. I said, "Nah, you did yourself an injustice."
Yeah.
Halfway through, they fix him and they explain why he looks like he does, and he's much more likable in the second half of his run.
Yeah, much better.
So much so that I missed him. When he was going, I'm like, "No, don't go. I love you. You're like my second favorite Doctor now."
Yeah.
Don't go, because he was fun and charming and witty and, much more having an exciting good time than the miserable sixth Doctor he was being before.
Yeah. Once he's got the electric guitar, I'm like, all right, now I'm in with this Doctor.
That was intentional. That was the episode where they turn the corner, because he gets up, he walks over and he hugs Clara, which before he goes, "I'm not much of a hugger."
Yeah.
This was showing the audience, we got it. We fixed it.
And the one where I really, really fell in love with him as a Doctor was his River Song episode.
Yes, well, that's Cindy's favorite. That's her favorite Christmas episode.
Yeah.
The Husbands of River Song.
Yes,
we have to watch that, actually.
It's so good.
And they were so great together.
Yeah.
And it was one of the few times where they really paid off a thread that they started.
Yeah.
Previously, where he goes, she's like, "Oh, you had a fresh haircut and you were wearing a new suit."
Mm-hmm.
And all of those little things he does.
Yeah. And River Song always felt like too much for either Tennant or for the next one.
Smith. Yeah.
Smith. But he like she was just too much woman for him. But those two, like, they had balance.
I want to see more of them together.
Yeah, that was.
Part of me wants to leave her alone now. Another part of me wants to just save her. That was one of the things I thought Tennant was going to do when he came back, was fix some of the things that he couldn't before. Like,
although I'm so happy with the way they fixed the way they fixed Donna. Yeah,
I know.
That needed to happen. It's really needed to happen, because that was just the most unfair.
Yeah,
Dr. Who was famous for treating his companions badly when they leave, but that one just the most unfair.
I had a problem with the fact that they, for no reason whatsoever, did "We Are Woman, You Stupid Man" thing. Remember that?
Yeah, that was at least done. That was done in such a cute way. I didn't mind it. It didn't feel aggressive or mean spirited.
Yeah, I just was like, okay, shut up now. You had a good thing going. There's no reason to insult him because he's a stupid man. But all those episodes were fantastic.
Yeah.
So fantastic, and I love that we got to still have our 14th Doctor.
Yeah,
like whoa, they split instead of change. That means he gets his own TARDIS.
Yeah,
and he gets to be happy. Let's give David Tennant
10
his happy life.
I mean, again, of all the Doctors, 10's departure was so torturous.
Right?
I don't think there's been another Doctor who left so unhappy.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want to go.
He was like hanging on by his fingernails.
Right. And I love the part when he freaks out. He's ticked. He does it to save Wilfred.
Yeah, he said he's so pissed off at Will for making him burn it. For making him burn
it. I could have done so much more. And he freaked. And I'm like, good. Thank you. You don't always have to be noble. He's the most passionate.
I like that a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, all right, if I have to go, but I'm just telling you, I hate this. I hate this whole, I hate that I have to go. Darn it.
Giving Donna her mind back and giving Tennant a proper happy ending.
Yeah. That was perfect. I couldn't have predicted it.
Yes.
And it couldn't have been any happier. I'm like, thank you. Because when he starts to change, I'm like, no, I still feel like this is too soon. We didn't get enough of 14. We only got 3 episodes, and it's not even done with this one. You didn't even wait to the end. You're changing them now. Why? Oh.
Yeah. That was great.
Oh. And I like that whole push.
Yeah.
They're looking at each other. Okay, push.
I also like that they split the outfit, too.
Right? Yeah. 15 isn't his underwear. Like,
yeah.
And I didn't even notice that at first. You know that?
Yeah.
I'm watching the episode and they're catching the ball and blah, 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 blah. It wasn't until they're walking away that I'm like, oh.
Yeah, he didn't get the pants.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I appreciate little detail like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you see his first episode, you do love the new companion.
Cool.
She's great.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, she's only going to be in this one season, and then sporadic in the next season because they already are like swapping her out.
Yeah, to me that just means Davis has plans, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And also, he's known to lie to the press too, so you never know. There could be surprises ahead.
I was watching. They have the Doctor Who podcast on YouTube. It's only a half hour long, so after each episode, I would watch it, and it's the 3 hosts, and they have a card. And it kind of gives them, all right, next up, splitting in 2. What do we think of that? And all of that kind of thing to like spark that line. But they go, oh, wait, we have a little clip of our boss here having something to say. And he comes in and gives you little thoughts on, here's why I did this. And here's what this means. Or what does this mean? You know, like things are planned. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
No, he's a smart dude, and he's a good storyteller. He's a good long-term storyteller,
and he's passionate about this, which I'm like, okay. That was the other thing too. What do you think of the idea of this bi-generation thing? Always happened.
That's kind of the nice thing about Doctor Who is the rules are so timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. If you can sell it, I'm in. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. As long as it's not the going back to the mistake of the previous Doctor with the unearthly child or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah, I didn't dig that, but it looks like they're not going to outright say it didn't happen, but they're also not going to
ignore it.
Do it. Yeah, just keep moving forward. I mean, I remember when in the Fox movie they claimed he was half human.
Right.
Never mentioned that again. Just keep moving forward.
Right. Which is one of the good but yet frustrating things about being a Doctor Who fan, right?
Yeah.
To love Doctor Who is to be frustrated with Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That's
but it always goes back to the way I've always felt or I feel about canon is did you like the story? Yeah. Well, then that one happened.
As long as it
didn't happen.
And as long as it doesn't boldly counter what you already love and go, whoa, wait, what? Like, no, you're doing that, you know. Yeah. Like, because the way I do it and the way they can unwrite the unearthly child or whatever it was, you know, who told her? The master. Really? So he could have been full of crap.
Yeah. Yeah. That can be hand waved away so easily.
So easily. Or do one episode and make it a thing.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, guess what? I was just messing with you.
Totally.
You know, or was I? And then that way everybody gets whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to tell you, talking about graphic novels and stuff that I've been getting, like more independent stuff. Seconds. Have you heard of Seconds?
Heard of it. Have not read it.
Bought it. Haven't read it yet. But it's the Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Writer. From what it sounds incredible. She's a baker, owns a bakery, but her life is crap. She gets a chance to go back in time and fix it. But again, the perils of going back in time, like, oh, you got me.
Good.
There's an ongoing miniseries by Tynan. Oh, actually, wait, let me jump back before I even get to that one. I have Cindy reading. She's finally reading again at night before we fall asleep. And so I'm like giving her the best of stuff because she was reading Injustice, but Injustice goes on for so long that unless you're reading it every day, which she wasn't, she would lose where she was. And it felt like work after a while. I said, drop it. You can come back to it later.
Right.
So I'm giving her like the one and done kind of stuff. Did you read The Nice House at the Lake?
Mm-mm.
Oh, do yourself a favor and read that one.
Right. What is that? Is that indie? Oh, okay.
Yeah. He has 2 volumes out so far. They're so good. I'm waiting for the next. Like it's I don't know how many he has planned, if it's just one more volume or what. But the first one, I'll give you the plot without.
No, let me go cold. I got this is a good information. I wanted to dive in.
Good. He is now doing another 12-issue series called The Deviant.
Yeah, he's working on a lot of big stuff. Yeah, I've I have no details down either. No.
Okay, there's like 3 or 4 issues so far. It's great. It's basically it's a Christmas story. So I thought it came out before Christmas. So I'm like, oh, okay. He's doing a horror Christmas thing. Oh, it's not just 1 or 2 issues. How long does this go on for? So it's going to go on, for a year. And it flashes back to the 70s of this serial killer. And it's a guy who's trying to write a book now. He throws a lot of himself into his characters. And he goes to interview the guy who got arrested as the serial killer. Well, it doesn't look like he was the guy.
Okay.
Because the killings from the 70s have started back up again.
All right. I'll have to put that on my list. Cool.
I'll send you anything because I know I'm going to forget stuff while we're talking. But like I said, I'm watching these videos of people talking about the books that they love, and I'm like, yeah, all right, and I'll grab them. I haven't necessarily read all of them yet, but I bought them because I'm going to. Like I just finally bought The Last Ronin.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Is it? I hear that.
Yeah. I didn't read I haven't read the whole the second series, but I read most of the first one. It's pretty good stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I love the Turtles. Oh, did you hear who's going to be writing Turtles?
Oh, I saw the change. Who was it?
Jason Aaron.
Well, that's right. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm saying. Like I'm nowhere near caught up.
That book does need to be shaken up.
Does it?
It's been in its rut for a while now.
Okay.
There's a really long story about the turtles being in kind of like a roped off mutant city, where everybody in the city are humans who've been turned into like animal mutants like them.
Sure.
And it started off great, but it's been going for a while. It really needs a shake up.
Okay. I just read the first. Well, they just came back from the planet with all the Krangs. So that's where I left off. I'm like, okay, that's the first 12 issues, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, now, because then what I started to do, instead of buying them as one, I just get volumes.
Yeah.
So if there's a sale, I'm like, grab them, and I'll get to them. This is what there's so much I've been dying to talk to you about. And I know we got to wrap it up, but again, we'll do this as soon as possible. But have you been reading the Energon Universe?
No.
It's so freaking good.
I just do not have an affinity for Transformers. It's just
you don't have to, even if you just read the G.I. Joe stuff. But the Transformers stuff, again, I'm with you. Okay, I had them as a kid, but as far as a comic goes,
I just even I mean, I like the toys for their toyetic aspects, but the comics I've never connected with that world. It doesn't work for me. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Okay.
And now, what I was going to do though is wait until they get far enough in on these 2 or 3 new Joe books and read those as trades when they come.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. That's fine, but you're doing yourself a disservice because, first of all, Transformers. I'm amazed to say this. Is so freaking good. They make Optimus Prime have heart. They do it a lot from the perspective of you and I looking at them. So you always are reminded that they are giant robots.
Yeah.
And they have the bad guys, Starscream and the rest. Because you don't know where Megatron is. Basically, it's Spike and a girl, his friend, stumble upon the ship that's in the mountain. You know what I'm talking about? The ship that brought them?
I mean, the sad thing is, this sounds to me like the beginning of every Transformer series I've read for the last.
Wait. They walk in and they're all like laying there. They're all beat up and destroyed and they look like a bunch of corpses. Good guys, bad guys, they're all just there. All right. He's like, what the heck is this? Well, they start to wake up, some of them. But unfortunately, Starscream is the first one to wake up. And he gets warp or whatever the one is, sky warp or I don't know, the black jet. And they just start walking over and going, boom, boom, shooting the faces off like Bumblebee. Because you're like, oh, Bumblebee's going to be part of it. Nope. Blam. Optimus wakes up. They make the bad guys. They're not just like, oh, I want some Energon. They look at us as, what are these things? Oh, they're squishy, aren't they? And they just start picking up people and squeezing them. and they like have...
Again, this might not be for me.
Oh, but wait. What happens is, besides you going, oh, I like Optimus, and they actually give Optimus that kind of like, I understand this is your planet. You know, I value all life kind of thing. I'm trying to do the right thing. The art's fantastic too, but who shows up? Duke. I can't tell you how, but basically that leads into the first issue of Duke. There's been 2 issues of Duke. Phenomenal. Because
do those issues of Duke have a bunch of Transformers in them?
Basically there's a run-in that you don't know it's Duke until the last page, basically, of that issue, because it just focuses on the
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he's in a jet. Starscream shows up, attacks the jet. Because they're like, oh, it's one of ours. Wait a minute, why is it coming at us? Boom, 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 boom. They eject because Starscream shoots at them or whatever. They parachute. The pilot is parachute opens. Starscream goes, hi. Squishes him.
Yeah,
Duke.
This might not be for me.
The guy who's getting the ride. Oh, I'm telling you, it's fantastic. The guy who's getting the ride, hits a button and cuts because now he sees the other guy and goes after him. He shoots him like Duke, you find out, gets like a jetpack thing, flies over him, shoots him in the face, and while he goes, ah, like that, he loses sight of where he is. He's like, stupid bug, and just like flies away. Duke starts with him talking to General Abernathy, Hawk. No, he's Abernathy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hawk, he's talking to General Hawk and is like, Duke, you've been the best soldier, and they do like a flashback. You've always been a great leader, and you blah, 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 blah. They run through a quick history of him. I don't know why you're getting in fights all the time and acting like an a-hole, basically. And he goes, you don't understand. I'm fed up with the government telling me what I saw I didn't see. And they do a quick flashback to him dealing with Starscream. And he goes, it was a delusion. He goes, it wasn't a delusion. So he gets fed up. He goes, why don't you take some time to yourself?
So let me get this straight. You don't like the deaths in Suicide Squad, but you're okay with the Transformers turning dudes into Smucker's Strawberry Jam.
As long as it's not the only thing. Like if it's,
I'm just giving you.
I know, but what you understand the difference. Like they ratcheted up the villains in this so that they're not just, I want Energon, and no, you're like, oh, you guys are scary. Like you read this and go, oh, that's not good. That's not, you're just in my way. No, this is, I think you're insignificant, and I'm gonna just, like an ant. You're like, an ant. Get out of my way. Well, the whole time you're wondering where's Megatron, right? So with Duke though, he's like, all right, fine, I'll go take my break. You'll be lucky if I come back, and like storms out of there. Well, then they're coming at it from all different angles, so you get to see. There's no Cobra yet, by the way.
See, Cobra's my favorite part of G.I. Joe.
Wait. When you read Cobra Commander, you get into his story. Yeah. And it's only been 1 issue so far.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna pick up the trades.
Oh, they weave everything in. You get to see characters in Duke Mercer. You see Mercer in the first issue. And you see Destro, because Destro's company is called Mars.
Mars, yeah.
They weave all of that in to the Transformers and G.I. Joe kind of affecting each other without officially, like, Transformers are not known to the world yet.
Yeah. Does Megatron still turn into a tiny gun that somebody else can hold?
We haven't seen him yet.
I cannot take Transformers seriously. I've tried so many times.
Me too. When they would do that, I'm like, wait a minute, he's not shrinking.
It's like
either a gun or he's a gun.
That robot was 10 feet tall.
Right. So I think they're going to make him like a tank or a Jeep.
Yeah,
or something. They did that with the toys, actually. He's not a gun anymore.
Yeah, also because you can't get away with selling a Mauser anymore to kids like you could in the 1980s.
Right.
Even Han Solo's gun has to be orange now.
I know. But yeah, I'm amazed at how much, because I thought, all right, I'll read it. I also read Void Rivals.
Yeah.
Which is part of that world.
That was kind of like the sneaky intro that kicked it off.
Its own, yeah, but it's its own thing. If you don't read that, fine. It's Kirkman.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it. But it's not, it doesn't necessarily matter to anybody on Earth yet.
Yeah. I'll give the Joe books a look in the trade.
Yeah.
I can't promise the Transformers. That's just
let me finish the story arc and I'll tell you for sure.
All right, cool.
I'm amazed at how much I freaking love it. All of it. Because they're taking their time and they're weaving it together in a new way that is excellent. I mean, it feels fresh and new and yet not trying to be fresh and new. You know what I mean? Like when they did that with IDW, I think it was that did the GW comics.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be separate from Hama's run.
Yeah. Hama's run.
And it was okay.
I think IDW started over their non-Hama G.I. Joe line three different times.
Right. And at first it was like, all right, this is good, but it didn't really shake anything up. It was like, all right, you already know who these characters are, so we're just gonna.
Sometimes when they would try and change them too much, they would go too far in the other direction where it didn't even feel like G.I. Joe. And I would always just go, you know what? I'm gonna go back to reading the Hama.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember dropping the IDW's run too and going, all right, there's nothing fresh there. You're just kind of making it darker.
Yeah.
And I'd rather read Hama.
Yeah.
But this feels like its own thing.
Well, I mean, everything I've heard is like this was a very strong launch for both of these stuff from Image. That's cool.
I'm thrilled. And I was surprised that like people's number one book from last year, even though it was only 1 or 2 issues came out, they said was Transformers. Out of their top 10 books, when I watch these videos, I'm like,
I think a big part of it was the way they handled it, where the launch was such a surprise from coming out of that Void thing. I think it took a lot of people totally by surprise that all of a sudden there's this big new Transformers thing coming out. That's just cool. That's a smart way to do it.
I'm telling you, I pray it doesn't take a hard left and change, but so far it's Williamson.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's great. I and even Cobra Commander, because a lot of times when IDW would we're going to do a Cobra comic, you'd be like, all right, again, nothing new. This you go, you're gonna. I'm not going to tell you anything, but you're going to see some stuff right from the first page and go, really, you did that? All right.
Oh no, I'll definitely give it a look. Did
you read the new Ultimate Spider-Man?
Did not.
It's surprisingly good.
I know. Here's my thing on that, and then it's a bit spoilery, but if it's an Ultimate Spider-Man book, which is supposed to be a fresh start, and your big shocking reveal depends on you knowing old Spider-Man, and it didn't work.
You didn't have to read Ultimate Spider-Man before. All you had to know is that Peter Parker.
If the idea is this is a clean start, but your big shocking thing is that Ben Parker is where he is he not the editor of the Daily Bugle?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's only shocking because you know he's supposed to be dead. So to me, it's like if the idea is it's a fresh start, you're still depending on my previous knowledge of Spider-Man for your shock.
Kind of, except okay, I'll tell you. They did that whole Ultimate Invasion or whatever the heck it was, kind of confusing. Basically, evil Reed Richards went through a universe and stopped all the heroes from being created. He stops the spider from biting Peter Parker. He stops, the Bruce Banner from becoming the Hulk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So he goes, and that was his thing. It's a world without superheroes. Okay. Miniseries was more confusing. They lost basically the beauty of what the Ultimate Universe is long, long gone. So this was just like, all right, you're trying, whatever. What made this new Ultimate Spider-Man was it's a universe where he was never Spider-Man. He got married to Mary Jane. They have a couple kids. So he's in his 30s, we'll say. He's got a beard, got glasses. He's working at the Daily Bugle. J. Jonah Jameson and his uncle are like besties. Well, the whole issue, he's never a Spider-Man. So it's him. The premise of this series is him getting the Spider-Man powers now at this age when he should have already gotten them as a teenager.
Yeah.
I like it so far. It's Hickman.
Not feeling it. Yeah.
I'll let you know as I go. But so far, first issue is I'm like, oh.
Who's the writer on that?
Hickman.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, it could fall apart real easy, but the fact that I'm enjoying an Ultimate book.
Yeah. I liked Hickman's a lot. I didn't like his Avengers as much.
What remind me his Avengers?
His Avengers it was a large team. He brought in tons of new characters and tons of cosmic characters, and it really did. I bailed on it early because it didn't feel like I had any heart.
Was that Ultimate Avengers or something like not Ultimate?
It was regular Avengers, but it was very much in the feel of his FF, which was like super cold and scientific and remote, and lots of cosmic stuff, and nothing really human about it.
No, but remember after they did Avengers versus X-Men, and they called it like Uncanny Avengers.
Well, Uncanny Avengers was the side team that was like half X-Men and half Avengers.
Right. Was that around that same time?
Kind of around the same time, yeah. Okay. That felt more like Avengers than Hickman's did to me.
Right. I do remember that because I think I read the first issue and went, okay.
Yeah. He put Shang-Chi in there, and Shang-Chi shouldn't be an Avenger.
No, he's a defender. Let him be a defender.
At best.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I did they give him the rings? Do they have him have the movie rings?
I don't think so.
Really? Because thank God for those rings, because now I can go, okay, you're on a superhero team because of that. Just because you're a good martial artist doesn't mean you get to be a superhero.
At least Hawkeye's got a bow. What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, and perfect aim. So, you're like, yeah. And even he gets teased.
Yeah.
Well, let me let you go.
We need to do this again because we didn't even get into how Todd McFarlane is single-handedly changing the toy industry. There's so much crazy McFarlane stuff we got to talk about.
We
it's
do.
amazing. So
we do. I just wish it wasn't. I wish it wasn't 7 inches. I wish he kept it at 6 because now it's just an inch too far for me.
I thought that at the beginning, but the way he's working now, he got me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, I saw the Blue Beetle with the bug. I'm like, you son of a bitch!
But even the 7-inch line is leaning into all like Bronze Age stuff.
You got something?
Look at this crypto.
Well, I didn't even know they came out with the crypto.
It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
And they made a perfectly Earth 1 70s looking Superman to go right with him.
Is he smiling? Is that the one?
Yeah.
He smile? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because the rest of McFarlane's earlier Superman all look like they're constipated. And this one is like, hey, it's basically Christopher Reeve flying at the end of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
We'll just saw today the new 2-pack from McFarlane. It's Kyle Rayner and Kilowog.
I just showed Mikey that. I just showed Mikey the pictures.
That's
because they have Kyle Rayner with the green suit, the plastic thing over him.
He just did an Animal Man that looks amazing.
Really?
Yeah. He did Captain Carrot, dude.
I couldn't wait to tell you I read the first volume of Animal Man. I got to read the second volume of Starman.
Yeah.
I know, because I always think of you when I see them. I'm like, oh, Scott's going to be after me. I gotta read. I can't believe they haven't come out with more collections. Give us all of the Starman run.
Yeah. Well, they're in 2 big fat ones like this, and that's the whole run.
Well, yeah. But like digitally, you got volume 1, you got volume 2.
I need books. I need books.
Yeah. Well, one of the shows I watch on YouTube, they do talk about omnibuses and ultimate collections, and the girl's so funny because I get what she's talking about. She goes, I love the feel of this book on my skin. Like you can feel, she's like, look, it has a cool slip case, but look at the texture on that, or and they'll hold it sideways and look at the sheen on the pages. And I'm like, I appreciate that kind of love.
Yeah.
I love that kind of like minutia that you're fun to listen to.
All right, man. McFarlane first next time.
All right. You know what? Honest to God, and I'm not kidding, let's plan on the next one and write a list of topics because I need to do the same.
Cool.
I think I hit the big ones that I was dying to talk to you about, but seriously, both of us write down stuff because I'll kick myself when we don't talk about it.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks, man. Everybody, for what happened there? Let's see. Oh, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Boy, that was weird. I'm going to just say to everybody, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please go to the Forever Adventure Network, where we always try to have good stuff and stores and blogs and videos and music and more shenanigans. Actually, Scott, if you post a link on the Facebook page of either Never Gets Old or the group page of Forever Adventure, the article that you were just talking about.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah,
All
and you can find me every Monday and Wednesday at 13thdimension.com.
Perfect. All right, everybody. I'm going to run the end title here, and thanks for watching. And as always, let's remember, stay excited, everyone.
The Never Gets Old podcast is part of the Forever Adventure Network and made possible by your donations through Patreon. If you'd like to help us out, please go to the Forever Adventure Network by Mac Jackson on Patreon and help by subscribing, rating, and reviewing wherever podcasts are heard. We also have a Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channel. The show's music is by Harmony Constant and available wherever music is sold. Thanks for listening, everybody. And remember, stay excited.
The Forever Adventure Network.
Welcome to the adventure.